Good evening, West Orange. Welcome to our Tuesday, March 26th, regularly scheduled council meeting. Because we're getting started just a minute or two late, I want to jump right into it. So, Madam Clerk.
This is to inform the general public that this meeting is being held in compliance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. The annual notice was emailed to the Star Ledger and filed in the Township Clerk's office on November 21st, 2023, and published in the West Orange Chronicle on November 30th, 2023. Councilwoman Castellino.
Present.
Councilwoman Geber Michael.
Present.
Councilwoman Scarpa.
Present.
Councilwoman Williams.
Present.
Council President Rutherford.
Here.
Mayor McCartney.
So I would like to begin by inviting our new police officers and our mayor up to the podium to swear them in.
You have a Bible?
Very important job.
It's all right. Madam Mayor, don't you need a microphone?
So good evening, Is that on? Good evening. I didn't hear anything.
It's on.
Good evening, everyone. We're here this evening to welcome two new police officers to the force and to our township. Keep us safe, and we praise you and honor you this evening. So please repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Melanie Toronto,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
and will bear true faith and
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state
and in the state
under the authority of the people.
and the authority.
I do further solemnly swear
I do further solemnly swear
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all of the duties of the office
all the duties of the office
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
I state your name.
I, Daniel Castiglia,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state
and in this state,
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
I do further solemnly swear
I do further solemnly swear
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of the office
all the duties of the office
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Picture.
Congratulations. Welcome aboard again. We have Officer Daniel Castiglia and Melanie Toronto. One more.
One council.
Put it on the jaws. Thank you.
Right, kidding.
And
Next, we are going to acknowledge the Youth Advisory Board of the Nikhil Badlani Foundation for their outstanding work with Bill S 2789 and A 3793, the Assembly and Senate. Is the mayor, are you going to do the proclamation? Let's,
Thank you.
thank you, Mayor.
So good evening. Thank you. Sangeeta's here also. So thank you for the Youth Advisory Group. They just presented also at our Earth Hour launch last Thursday. So we welcome you to do that and just thank you for your advocacy. So whereas the Nikhil Badlani Foundation's Youth Advisory Board helped pass a bill that require New Jersey permitted drivers under the age of 21 to complete 50 practice hours, including 10 hours after dark. New Jersey was one of only 3 states that had no practice hours required for new drivers. And the Youth Advisory Board's advocacy journey began with a group of students who initiated outreach to legislators via email and phone calls in 2020, laying the foundation for this campaign. And whereas in the years progressed, subsequent cohorts of the Youth Advisory Board members spanning 4 graduating class joined the effort, ensuing continuity and momentum in advancing their cause. And whereas this approach undertaken by the Youth Advisory Board members involved persistence, engagement with Transportation Committee members and other legislators, emphasizing the life-saving impact of the proposed legislation, which directly impact them. This sustained effort led to the bills being posted for consideration, facilitated by numerous emails and calls to the Transportation Committee chairs on both the Senate and Assembly sides. And whereas the Youth Advisory Board testified before the Assembly Transportation and Independent Authorities Committee in support of Bill A 3793 on January 19, 2023, and the Senate Transportation Committee in support of Bill S 2789 on February 9th, 2023, and both bills were unanimously passed in their respective committees. Congratulations. And whereas Bill A 3793 was referred to the Assembly Committee Development and Affairs Committee and Bill S 2789 to the Senate Budget and Appropriations Committee, with continued outreach to committee chairs to the bills to be heard, culminating in the SBA, the Senate Budget Appropriations Committee, hearing on November 3rd, 2023, and a hearing on December 11th, 2023 from the Assembly Community Development Affairs Committee. Again, both bills passed unanimously in the respective committees. And whereas the successful passage of both bills on the Senate and Assembly floors occurred on December 11, 2023, and December 21st, 2023, respectively, the students cast the vote on each floor by pushing the button in support of the bill on behalf of the primary sponsors, Senator Cruz Perez and Assemblyman Dan Benson. And whereas Bill A 3793 and Bill S 2789 were signed into law by Governor Murphy on January 8th, 2024. Both bills will be implemented through New Jersey motor vehicles in February 2025. So now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Susan McCartney, and the West Orange Town Council do hereby recognize our students here Rhea, Tatina, Olivia, Burhan, Bryce, Jocelyn, Chris, Adonis, Marjorie, Michael, David, and April, along with their dedicated advisor, Eugene Pinkney, for the inspirational effort and commitment to making the state of New Jersey and our community a safer place.
Please come up. You just, yeah, we can give them the proclamation and then they'll, because they're all up now, so. Yeah. Come on, you guys stand up front. Let's get a good picture together. Congratulations.
Actually,
Yeah.
them come on the day.
Can we get you guys to join us up here?
So many of them.
Yep. Can we get you guys to join us? Yep.
Move your chairs out.
Great job.
Great job.
Good job.
Very proud of all of that.
Good job.
What's that?
This one's for you.
Oh. They haven't gotten yet. He's there, I'm moving a chair out of it. Still missing some here, but.
Thank you.
Here, we look this way.
Thank you.
Yes, you go this way too, if you want.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Important work that you're all doing. Yeah. well done.
One of the arts.
Great job, brother.
Cool.
And I just found out they're not all seniors, so we look forward to seeing them back again.
Freezing. Not just freezing. Thank you.
Hey, good evening, everyone. I'm just going to keep this very short because Mayor McCartney already said what I was going to say. So even then, I just kind of want to give a little bit of a background of how we started this program. And for those of you who don't know, traffic crashes are the leading cause of death in teens. Just in 2021, there were 28,000 crashes that involved 16 to 20 years old. So who better to advocate for safety for young drivers than the teen themselves? And so we started this program in West Orange High School to empower them to make a difference in the communities and to give them a platform to express their ideas on traffic safety improvements. Since then, we have expanded the program now to other schools in Burlington City and Indian Hills High School. And this is one of the programs that really, gives them an opportunity to show their leadership and their civic engagement as well. So I'm going to pass the floor to the students to talk about the experience in Trenton, as well as some of the initiatives that they have spearheaded to keep their peers safe.
Hello, I'm Bryce Mengden. I'm the president of our youth advisory board this year, and last year I was the chairman of our policy committee. So just a little bit about us. Our entire goal every single year is just to make a difference in our community. We're trying specifically to make a difference in all traffic related areas. We want to stop deaths. We want to get that number down to 0, as we're starting to work on now. And we just want to make a change. So as the chairman of the policy committee, I started out last year, being my first year in the club, and I went to testify for the first time on both the assembly and the Senate side. So at the time, I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just up there kind of advocating for something that I felt passionate about. but I really had no idea what I was doing, what I was advocating for. So now, as a president this year, I started to gain more of an understanding about what I was really pushing for. So as you heard, it's a bill that will affect all drivers across New Jersey and a bill that already affects almost all the drivers in the US. So this specifically is important to all of us here, all of us on the board, and will really affect anyone that's our friends and anyone younger than us. So I then testified 3 more times and eventually got to press the button, which is when it really started to set in. I never really realized the effect of what I was doing until I pressed the button for the final time and it was actually a bill. It kind of was just something I was doing after school, something I was doing to attempt to make a difference, but then eventually it led to a bill that is going to affect New Jersey for past my time. And hopefully more things will happen to make New Jersey roads a safer place. But our goal here is to provide like a stepping stone for safer roads in the future.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is David Tomei. I'm the vice president. So I'm just the chairman of the municipality committee. So our goal is to just engage our community to promote traffic safety overall. So far we've been able to collaborate with the West Orange Pedestrian Safety Board and West Orange Police Department as well. So we've been able to generate solutions with local traffic safety leaders. So, just talk to them about different problems that's been going on within our area and really figure out what's going on and within our streets. So we've been able, like I said, to address community road traffic issues, and we're actually able to create the first ever street mural to slow down traffic as well. And then, like I said, here's the picture.
Hello, everyone. My name is Michael Montoya. I'm the chairman of the Education Committee. And this year we presented to elementary schools on about pedestrian and bus safety. And Kelly. The first school we went to was Kelly. And with a show of hands, we saw that most children had zero clue about pedestrian and bus safety. And by the end, we saw a 50% increase on pedestrian and bus safety knowledge. So we were very proud about that. Throughout the presentation, we were asking questions involving the students and giving out prizes. And we also incorporated a mural design for students to make. I know in Washington, they have their own mural that was designed by the students themselves. And we're projected to present to local elementary schools in the future again. All right, we were awarded $10,000 cash prize in the last 3 years through the You Got Brains competition. And we provided free behind the wheel lessons to 20 students. And we will continue to offer the scholarships.
So also last year in the past 2 years, we've been able to host 2 traffic safety fairs. So we've been able to collaborate with Easy Ride for bike safety lessons and ride lessons as well. So like you can see here, we did booths, raffle prizes and fun activities for the kids. And this is actually where we created the mural at Washington, where we did a mural in Verling. So it's just a really fun thing, and we're hoping to do it this year as well. And then we also got the Easy Ride Award. We went to the Easy Ride Award ceremony. So we got the West Orange High School gold level recognition from New Jersey Safe Routes to School program. So we participated and conducted a school-wide audit on transportation means to and from school. So that's the reason why we got the award.
So one of our most recent things that we're really excited about is a traffic safety week that happened just last week at our high school. Basically, our whole goal was just to get community involvement in people like our peers, people our age. So we had surveys to gauge people's understanding of bills and different rules throughout like New Jersey driving regulation. And then we would inform them and they would take a survey again at the end. So we got responses from over 200 of our students just 4 days at lunch. Around 83% of the students who filled out our post survey got the answers correct, at least one. compared to over 50% of people getting no answers correct and 95% of people getting at least one answer incorrect in the pre-survey. So these are some of the pictures from our fair. We had a booth and then we gave out prizes. That wheel on the right was the reward for interacting with us. They would come up, fill out our surveys, we'd inform them, fill out post surveys, and then they get a chance to spin the wheel to get the t-shirts that we're wearing right now, bracelets, pencils, flashlights, and if they interacted with us and followed us on Instagram, they also got a chance to win a raffle. This was more community involvement for us. We got a couple sponsors from local restaurants, Mama Dags, Dunkin', and Fortissimo. We got them to donate gift cards. And then a couple people will be randomly drawn this week to get those gift cards as a prize. So our upcoming plans. We're gonna have a traffic safety fair. It's gonna be similar to our traffic week. There's gonna be activities. It's gonna be all about informing people, except instead of it being just in our high school, our goal is to reach the whole community and maybe even other towns. We're gonna attempt to work with Easy Ride again and have a course for kids to learn to ride bikes. Last year, we had Easy Ride donate bikes and helmets for people who couldn't afford them or just didn't have them. And then again, we're gonna continue to present to elementary schools and present our final contest to the You Got Brains in attempt to win first prize for the 4th year in a row and get another cash prize. This is our Instagram, if anybody would like to follow.
I was trying to follow them on Instagram.
Very awesome.
Another outstanding example of West Orange's future leaders. I don't know if any of you have a desire to get into politics, but you certainly have the knack. And you've already got a track record to run on. All right, so in the interest of time, we're going to move forward with our presentation from the Nishwayne Group on economic community development and land use. They are before us tonight in one of our resolutions.
We have the women's. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
The lady that way.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, it's not on here. I heard it.
You know, when I saw something in the email,
Yeah, right.
something from the mayor, but I wasn't sure exactly what that was. Yeah, so,
Yeah, I just
She-
saw them.
right, so right after this, we'll do that.
It's good for them too.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Michelle Dulles Ford. I am the principal and managing partner at Nishwayne Group. We are a planning consultancy and a project management firm located right 2 miles away in Montclair, New Jersey. I will say this, we have a bunch of planners with diverse backgrounds. I would like to, just kind of impress upon you that our firm is a minority woman-owned business. We have been around for roughly 17 years now. We have roughly 15 members in our firm that's composed of licensed and certified planners, engineers, architects, all that have different specialties in different industries. Just as a quick background, urban planning is something that, there's various concentrations for those of you who aren't familiar with the field. And it ranges from transportation planning to land use planning, redevelopment planning, urban design. And our firm has staff members with most of those backgrounds, in addition to economic development. We are here responding to the economic development RFP that was released by the Township. That RFP also had some caveats that asked for planning services as needed. And so we felt that we offered a blend of those services I am a former resident of West Orange, so I'm very familiar with the township and I'll say an avid patron to all of your services as well. I understand the demographics, we understand the assets that the township has, as well as some of the challenges that you faced. Our firm has been around again for 17 years, and we've worked with municipalities in Hudson County and Essex and Union and Middlesex and Monmouth County. And so we're very familiar with some of these issues. While we realize that all municipalities may have common issues, we make sure that we customize our approach according to the municipalities that we work in. I mentioned earlier that we have a staff that's composed of various professionals with licenses. We're certified, we're LEED certified, we're PMP certified, we're certified in economic development financials. And again, we're certified by the American Institute of Certified Planners. So to that end, a little bit about me. I have about 29 years of experience in the field. I'm a licensed and certified planner as well, with my master's degree in city and regional planning from the Blaustein School at Rutgers University. I believe that to whom much is given, much is required. And so I'm a big proponent of volunteer. In addition to religious organizations and personal organizations, I also volunteer in the industry. I'm a former planning board member. I was the vice chair of the planning board in my hometown. I'm a trustee for New Jersey Future. I am the chairperson for the redevelopment planning committee for the American Planning Association, the state chapter. And I'm also a member of the National Planning Association's ethics committee, where I helped revise our conduct of ethics. And so with that, I mentioned earlier, we're 2 miles away. We're extremely responsive. We're knowledgeable, very excited to see the assets that West Orange has, and really hopefully looking forward to working with you. Again, in the spirit of time, I would just like to briefly introduce Craig Sawyer. He's our economic development specialist, and he can tell you a little bit more about how we can respond to some of the issues that were identified in the RFP.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Craig Sawyer. I'm an economic development financial planner. I have over 30 years of experience in real estate and economic development. I just want to spend a couple of minutes just highlighting some of my accomplishments and some of my experiences. First of all, I have extensive experience managing and facilitating commercial districts, both low traffic areas as well as heavy traffic districts, over 100,000 pedestrians annually in New York City. From that, I have been responsible for both managing, organizing merchants associations, I like to define it as well as helping them with market promotions and attractions, assisting with attracting new businesses, business retention strategies, as well as doing retail gap analysis, looking at what some of the leakages in that community consist of. All of my communities that I work in, we always develop strategic plans. I always like to emphasize that aspects of it. And one of the accomplishments, one of the biggest projects that we have accomplished, I think when you go and you visit Township Avenue in New York City, you will see an area that once had a number of underutilized assets, some various challenges. We had created a strategic plan. We started first with planning in zoning activities. From that, we was able to develop a nice strategy to retain some of the retail establishments that was there, attract a variety of new up-and-coming businesses and retailers to the shop, to the district, as well as bring some of the underutilized assets online and become viable tax ratables within the city. And now if you go there, it's an excellent space to both dine and shop on Township Avenue. In addition to that, I have extensive experience in developing underutilized assets. Real estate development was one of the areas that I had spent a lot of time over my last 20-something years in consulting, a variety of projects, both retail, industrial, and mixed-use development type projects. In that capacity, I feel I could be a very big asset to the township and helping address some of the underutilized assets that we have here in the township. Both will be talking about the historic, I used the word historic, but the manor, which everyone is aware of, the Mayfair Farms site for redevelopment, and also the valley. So the variety of different assets here within the town that could be to redeveloped or repurposed. I have extensive experience, not just in the redevelopment process, so I can talk with developers, understand the challenges, understand the opportunities, understand the process and what it takes to complete a project. I'm very extensive experience with the financing side. I can read financial statements, pro formas. I could give you the assessment if the tax abatement is warranted, and what resources are needed to be able to support that developer in that process or that property owners in that process. Along with that, I know what tools are available to assist them. Both the federal resources available, extensive knowledge on the state programs that are available, as well as some of the local tools that the municipality has to assist developers in that process. When you look at the programs, and we from everything from brownfield, I see in the agenda you had your has a discharge site remediation program on your agenda, which I'm very familiar with. It's talking about brownfield, redevelopment area bonds, which is a tool that municipality could use to assist in that process. Tax abatement, which we all are familiar with in that process. I can assist with that in that area as well. And just keeping moving, the different resources that are available, not just at the federal level, but also at the state level. Have experience and relationships working with EDA, DEP through the LSRP program, NJRA, which I shared, which I have been a consultant for New Jersey Redevelopment Authority for over 15 years, where I have been responsible for developing the curriculums for the training programs for elected officials, board members, developers, nonprofit, for-profit developers, attorneys, planners, and others, development professionals, in all aspects of redevelopment, real estate development, and project finance. I taught some of the project finance classes as well as the leasing classes, which I am also quite knowledgeable on. I have familiarity with the township, particularly sitting on several boards, but one notable board that I like to share is Hands Inc. That's located in the Valley. I served on their board for several years. I served as their board chair for about 3 or 4 years with Pat Morrissey was the chair during that particular time. I know the assets that we have down in the Valley that also could be highlighted, like Luna Stage, which provides some of the best plays and training opportunities for young adults and kids who want to learn the arts. So I get some of my background. I think that'd be good assets as we take on the challenges of and the opportunities to help redevelop and create economic growth within the township. If there are any questions, let me know.
Thank you, Mr. Sawyer. Thank you, Ms. Dellisford. Any questions from my colleagues? No?
Thank them for their presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilwoman, questions?
No, I appreciate their time just for the public's knowledge. We saw them separately over the past week or so. I know on my session with Councilwoman Scarpa and our director, Meg Brill, for downtown, we appreciate the over 2+ hours you gave us and the extensive questioning. So thank you. I really appreciated it.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah, I want to thank you both for the presentation. I think it was thorough, and I'm glad that you were able to stay within the time constraints, given how late we started tonight. Seeing that there are no other questions, I think we can close this portion of our, no? Oh, no, that's right. We do have one. It's not on the agenda, but we do have it.
Surprise.
Surprise, surprise. We're going to end on a high note. Madam Mayor.
So, Council President, actually, I think this worked out better that you didn't know, but I didn't do that intentionally. But I'm glad that all the women we're celebrating March as Women's History Month, and I did invite the women from Town Hall here this evening to recreate what we did last year when I first got elected. And they're all nodding their heads. It was just a lovely evening. But what I'm saying, I was glad that it worked out in this order because if the resolution is on your agenda this evening for the Nishawayne group, if you do approve that, I'm glad that everyone was here to hear this because when we create, if and when we create a work plan, you'll have input to that. So, next staff meeting, we can talk about that. So it worked out, and everything that Mr. Stewart just said, we have been talking about for a long time. BDA, talked about BDA and redevelopment and hands. Again, we talk about our Valley corridor as being blurred. You mentioned Luna Stage, but we have the Arts Council. We have a lot of businesses on Valley Road and residents, and we need help. So please consider that resolution. So the reason we have town hall, and even last month in my State of the Town address, I highlighted so many of the departments, all of the departments that have that hidden force behind them. And many were not able to attend the breakfast, the chamber breakfast, because they were here working. So I'm glad that they were here. We do have a proclamation, please. Okay. So it says, whereas women of every race, class, and ethnic background have made historic contributions to the growth and strength of our nation in countless recorded and unrecorded ways. And American women have played and continue to play critical economic, cultural, and social roles in our sphere of life in the nation by constituting a significant portion of the labor force working inside and outside of our homes. And whereas American women have played a unique role throughout the history of the nation by providing the majority of the volunteer labor force in our nation. American women were particularly important in the establishment of early charitable, philanthropic, and cultural institutions in our nation, and of every race, class, and ethnic background served as early leaders in the forefront of every major progressive social change movement. And whereas women have served our country courageously in the military and have been leaders not only in securing their own rights of suffrage and equal opportunity, but also in the abolitionist movement, the emancipation movement, the individual labor movement, the civil rights movement, and other movements, especially the peace movement, to create a more fair and just society for all. So I, Susan McCartney, Mayor of West Orange, and the Township Council wish to recognize the invaluable contributions the women working in the township have made and acknowledge their dedication and commitment to the township. And hereby proclaim the month of March as Women's History Month in the Township of West Orange.
Please come on up.
Come on up, come on down, yeah.
Well, can you guys join us behind the dais, please? Yes, for the picture. Yeah, we can have.
We'll hold on together. Hurry up and make me.
Here's all, Mr. Fagan.
Okay, everybody look this way.
You have to get the one guy. It's up there.
Rose among the, there you go.
Now you're really a thorn among the roses. You got it. You need somebody. Just peachy, right?
Not too bad.
Can you?
Hi, John.
All right, we are now going to move into our regular meeting. Madam Clerk.
This is to inform the general public that this meeting is being held in compliance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. The annual notice was emailed to the Star Ledger and filed in the Township Clerk's office on November 21st, 2023, and published in the West Orange Chronicle on November 30th, 2023. Councilwoman Castellino.
Present.
Councilwoman Geber Michael.
Present.
Councilwoman Scarpa. Present. Councilwoman Williams.
Present.
Council President Rutherford.
Here.
Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The council is now in their public meeting.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We are going to begin with our public comment. I'm going to ask Mr. Fagan and Mr. Puglisi to address us first.
Thank you, Council President. I will be brief. I just want to start out by saying we have a shredding day coming up April 14th at the Environmental Center. This only happens a few times a year, so now is the time to gather those documents. There are restrictions of things that you can take, and you should check our website to make sure that you comply with them. This is a repeat from last meeting, but it's worth mentioning again about the West Orange Dog Park. And if you go on our website, we're also seeking sponsorships for that. Also, the pool continues to have their early bird specials through May 10th. Take advantage of that. Mayor McCartney has open office hours coming up on April 11th. There were a few people in my office today. There's no appointment necessary. You can just show up and speak to the mayor. Of course, we have our Juneteenth. And I ran this last meeting. I wanted to run it again because there was an open call for film submissions. And there also are sponsor opportunities available, and you can contact Councilwoman Williams for that. Congratulations goes forward to former West Orange resident Belmar Joseph. He was named to the Haitian national soccer team. He was a student at Pleasantdale and Kelly Elementary Schools. That's an incredible honor for any individual. We also have congratulations going out, speaking of Female History Month, to former West Orange High School wrestler Sandy Guerrero. First female to obtain a national title in women's wrestling, certainly worth mentioning.
Yeah.
Also, with the new library moving, I just want to remind everyone that there is senior transportation to the West Orange Public Library at 10 Rooney Circle, and this information is on our website as well. Memorial Day is coming up May 27th. Now, this may seem that we're far out from Memorial Day, and why is Joe Fagan mentioning this now? Well, I want to bring to everyone's attention that this year we are going to be rededicating the West Orange Honor Roll here on the first floor of Town Hall. It was dedicated on May 30th, 1944, and it will be the 80th anniversary. And I bring it up not to mention that as much as I want to mention that on this honor roll, there are over 3,600 West Orange residents who served in World War II. And they come from all walks of life and all backgrounds. And I want to invite members of the public who might have a relative, an uncle, a brother on here. Of those 3,600 residents, there are fathers, brothers, uncles, possibly even aunts, and there are at least 3 sets of father and son residents who served in World War II that came from West Orange. My father and grandfather being one of them. I want to make special mention of Joseph Jones, West Orange High School class of 1940. I believe I discovered an error where he was omitted from the honor roll, but should be included on there. And I've been trying to reach out to descendants of the Chesterfield of Joseph Jones's family to invite them to the ceremony. I would like to add him as part of the dedication ceremony this Memorial Day. And the reason I believe he was inadvertently omitted was his classmate, Warren Porter, which is seen on the screen. After high school, graduation high school in 1940, he went to work at the hardware store in West Orange here, whereas Joseph Jones went on to college, and his North Carolina address or college was used as criteria, I believe, and it should have been his West Orange address. So he should be added to the honor roll. I'd like to see that gets done on the rededication this Memorial Day. And if anybody has any information, please send me an email, jfay@westorange.org. If you want to know if any of your relatives or any information about Mr. Jones. You can email the council in council@westorange.org. If anyone has any questions or doesn't get an opportunity to speak during public comment. Council President, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Fagan. Mr. Puglisi?
Hi, Anthony Puglisi, representing County Executive Joe DiVincenzo. I'll bring it up again. Last time out, I talked about the cherry blossoms. We're getting closer and closer to peak season. Right now, we're in a budding stage. So if you do go to Branchbrook Park, you'll see some colors starting to pop, but it's not peak season yet. So just bear with us. Probably in about 2 weeks, we'll get there. Full schedule events from April 6th to April 14th on the website, which is EssexCountyNJ.org, sorry. On Thursday, March 28th, we have a food distribution at the Cherry Blossom Welcome Center. The county executive started this program during the pandemic to address food insecurity. With rising costs and inflation, it's just as important now as it was then. So all told, we've done over 65 events and provided over 3.5 million meals to people. So like I said, this is Thursday at the Cherry Blossom Welcome Center starting at 9 a.m. while supplies last. So don't wait, come out early. And it's rain or shine. And looking at the weather, it's going to be rain, but we'll persevere. And then today was a great day in Essex County and in West Orange because we had our Irish Heritage Celebration at the MLK building, and 2 great honorees. One was Kathy Ahern O'Brien, who's the executive director of the Hyacinth AIDS Foundation. She's done remarkable work raising awareness about AIDS and HIV. And beloved son of West Orange, Senator John McKeon, former mayor, former councilman. On a personal note, when I first met him, he was the zoning board attorney. So it's a long time ago. So great day in Essex County and West Orange. And all the information I talked about is on our website, EssexCountyNJ.org. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Puglisi. We're going to open public comment now for those that are joining us in person. As you likely are aware, we are no longer allowing public comment on Zoom. So for those that would like to have public comment right now on anything, you may do so at this time.
Hi, Ron Weston, Whitbay Drive.
I'm also a member of the Economic Development Commission, West Orange. Had the pleasure of talking with all of the members of the council at various times over the last year at EDC. First of all, Council President and members of the council, I applaud you for moving forward with the Economic Development Consultant RFP and resolution that's on the table today. I support that resolution and appreciate Nishwayne Group's presentation. And I did have an opportunity to review their proposal and qualifications, and without hesitation, as someone who's a planner and served on the planning board for a long time, their qualifications are impressive and I believe can serve the township well. I do have one footnote, and I just want to put this out there because I don't know if anyone was thinking about it, but I still believe in the short term, let's just say through the balance of this year, there would be benefit in keeping Paul Rigel on as the board, zoning board and planning board planner, which he's been doing, and he has 14 years of knowledge in that role. Because the proposal and the RFP focus on economic development as well as planning support, and there's a lot of planning things to be done at 30,000 feet, dealing with the ongoing applications, dealing with the week-to-week, month-to-month role of the ZOAR board and writing the reports and representing those two land use boards is important. So I understand different viewpoints on the council about it, but something to think about, because I also think that the proposal and the number of hours and all the other things, Nishwayne Group's going to have a lot to do strategically to get going and to really benefit the town. And I do think there's a difference. There's a difference between doing those reports and going to the ZOAR board to represent those two boards. So think about that, because I think when you look at it, if I know Mr. Greigel, he may already be technically done or he's being carried over, but I think it's something to think about, because this could be a both and instead of an either or, at least through the balance of this year, while a number of big applications are continuing to move forward. Initially, we can get in at 30,000 feet at a strategic level, because there's a lot of economic development and other planning work to be done, rather than getting down in the weeds and spending their hours, because they've outlined the number of hours. If you look at the proposal, there's only so far I can go with that. So think about that. But again, I totally support and recommend that the board move forward with the resolution of appointing Nishwayne Group LLC in response to the RFP. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weston. Anyone else? You don't have to.
Good evening. Michaela Bennett, Old Indian Road. There's no way you should approve Resolution 112-24. Don't even bother trying to fix it. Don't waste your time. And don't permit the mayor's manipulations of fact to mount a misinformation campaign. The council majority should have retained an investigator to investigate all Trank-related claims to determine if there's cause for removal. Upon doing that, all this slick stuff will stop. There's a laundry list of issues with Trank. One of them will stick. Once you have independently vetted evidence, you have the ability to act. In addition to your for-cause options, there's ethical considerations. When an attorney is found to have violated our rules of professional conduct, we are held accountable, up to and including losing our licenses to practice law. That's where you should send any evidence of Trank's ethical issues. I'd recommend familiarizing yourselves with the rules of professional conduct and assessing his conduct. We as attorneys have duties. You're owed certain conduct. The council permitted the mayor to take this right into court. She sought injunctive relief, obtained a temporary order, and now wants to withdraw the case. She claims it's to save us money. That's a shadow mayor talking. If you withdraw, the temporary order doesn't exist in perpetuity. Absolutely not. But that's how people like the mayor and Trank want you to believe. Don't let them. That's what this resolution would do. It would let them puff out their chests and brag about winning and suggesting expenses are unnecessary. Well, that's actually true, but not for the reasons they've stated. All of this added expense wouldn't be necessary if Trank were actually operating in the township's interest and not his own. You should have methodically secured a firm to investigate, provide all your concerns to the firm, awaited the investigation, and then published the findings if you decided they rise to removal for cause. The same is true for Mr. Gross. The same is true for Chief Abbott and any individual in this administration who gives grounds for removal. The court sideshow should never have been permitted to be the main event. Insist on an accurate representation of facts. Correct the record. 1, they are spinning the costs of litigation. 2, let's speak to what Trank costs the township annually without a contract. That's fodder for abuse. The council is obligated to be the check and balance to exactly that. The council rightfully requires a contract. Does the law permit a firm to bill without an agreement in place? Is there an underlying agreement that governs Trank's firm and Trank referring West Orange business to that firm? The council's attorney only cost the township $50K because of these tactics. The council would have never needed to retain counsel if the administration weren't playing games and violating the law. How did Trank permit Gross to hold a role in conflict with the municipal code? Why did Trank try to rewrite that code? Why is this administration distilling multiple roles down to a few decrepit dinosaurs, playing musical chairs and stacking hands on multiple pensions that we will all pay in perpetuity? It's the same old game with the same old guys. They need to stop, and by methodically listing for the public the real history, including giving Trank every opportunity to bow out gracefully, the council builds a record of truths while they manipulate through lies. We would not be here right now. Ken Kaiser would still be working for West Orange, and the council would be focused on other things if Mr. Trank hadn't facilitated the incorrect advice and counsel that the mayor could vote in a tie. We're here right now because of Trank. No one else. This case and this township is in this condition, all because of Richard Trank. The council majority is doing the people's work, and there are thousands of us who support your efforts of ridding this town of the Trank chokehold once and for all. Do not vote in favor
Your time is
of
up.
this resolution. Thank you.
Rachel Klein, Howell Drive. Firstly, I think with all the possible developments looking to be done in town, it would be a mistake to hire a consultant instead of a town planner. Definitely a town planner prior, someone who has to answer actually to the town might make more sense. After sitting in on a tree ordinance meeting, I actually fell ill for about a week. So I've only just heard that it's not the same that I thought we had left. So I thought we had left on a good note. And so if it had changed that much, maybe it should keep going back to the drawing board, but a really good tight tree ordinance is what this town needs. If the dog park is still on the agenda, because I noticed it before, I'm very much in favor of a minimal fee for use of the dog park. I think it's a great way for people who use it to take ownership of it. We already asked $12 for licensing your dog in town. If you add maybe to the licensing fee, I personally won't use the dog park because my dog is ill, but I don't mind paying a little bit as a dog owner for a dog park for it to be maintained and used. And I think that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Todd DeBovie, Burnett Terrace. First thing I want to talk about is Resolution 9824 on the recycling center. Yet again, this administration is presenting the council and the township's taxpayers with a proposed contract without providing the necessary information. Specifically, they failed to provide us the copies of the actual proposals received. Why must residents constantly submit Oprah requests for information that should be provided up front? My request is that we not approve this resolution until all the information is in front of all of the residents. So we have the necessary facts to assess the merits or shortcomings of the administration's decision-making. Related to that is Resolution 9924, which does a temporary extension of the existing contract. I gather it's at the same contract prices or numbers as exists today, yet there's a vast difference between what's been offered and what is being paid today, which calls into question what's been going on at the recycling center all this time. And essentially the township has been shortchanged for years because of a favored contract with the existing vendor. So I think both should be rejected. I appreciate hearing that. Resolution 10424, the economic development position. This has been before this council numerous times. And at previous meetings, there have been many township residents who have come out to speak against an economic development person and arguing that we need a full-time town planner. That hasn't changed. We have Paul Greigel, but he's doing the becking and calling of the administration. And he's been there for years. And look at the town. It's not an example of a vibrant retail community. We need a full-time planner, and that should be the first and foremost task, to engage a full-time planner, then bring in the salespeople, economic development, to sell what we have to sell. But we don't have a vision yet for what this town should and can look like. So I'm requesting that resolution be denied. I'm not arguing anything about the qualifications of the folks that are being presented and presented earlier. I'm sure they're fully capable. I think it's putting the cart before the horse. We need a town planner, not an economic development group at this point in time. Resolution 11224, termination of litigation. I also agree that this case has not been decided. It was a temporary injunction, and the mayor has been attempted to, with misinformation, to spin it in such a way that she's won a victory. It's a small victory, but the case hasn't been decided yet. This should be allowed to continue and to be decided by the judge. And let's see what happens with that. And you've come a long way. You made the right decision to challenge the administration's actions and regarding Mr. Trank, and ultimately he should go. But this case needs to be decided, and it should not be withdrawn. I think it needs to be, that resolution also needs to be rejected. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment before we close? Seeing none, public comment is now closed. Look at that. And we started late. I want to thank all of you that have participated in public comment, particularly Mr. Fagan and Mr. Puglisi. I want to allow some time for my colleagues to respond. We'll go in order as we normally do. Councilwoman Castellino.
Sure, thank you, Council President. So most of this is in regards to resolutions and ordinances, which I'm gonna wait till we have those breakout discussions. The only clarification that I will give is Mr. Kaiser. He had actually retired to Florida. And that's why he's no longer with us, because he sold his house and moved, and that was a plan he had for quite some time. Mr. Weston, thank you for your service on the Economic Development Committee. I appreciate all your support and your comments this evening. So thank you for that, as well as the other speakers for coming in with their thoughts. Rachel Klein, the fee for the dog park. I know we have that on for tonight. And then I'll ask administration, is that something that should be added to the license, or do you have to do it separately?
Right now, it's separate.
Could it be done together, or?
You'd have to change the ordinance.
So tonight, how much were you planning on the fee, Mr.?
$10 for residents and 20 for.
Yeah, so it was minimal.
The goal is to get
Yeah,
more people to license their dogs. I think we have like
well, I think that's,
5,000.
yeah.
No, 1,000 dogs. You go with the numbers. Around
So
1,000.
I guess we'll ask about that. And my question was, can you, if you don't have the dog license, can you get the pass, or you can't?
No.
You can't. You have to come in.
No,
Get it done.
you have to have some
That's how I
license
thought. Somewhere.
Yeah, dog has to be licensed. It may be licensed.
And they're not gonna get the pass unless they show us their license from out of town, which one, the one who's been 20. Oh, I'm sorry. So my question was, I just want to make sure that when they come in for a pass, they have to show their license, or they don't get the dog park pass, the way this is set up. So, okay, thank you. That's it, Council President, and thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Councilwoman Castellino. Councilwoman Geber Michael.
Good evening, everyone, and I want to thank everyone who's here today in council chambers, and to those watching from home or wherever you are. Thank you for joining us. To those who spoke tonight, thank you for your advocacy. So first, I'd like to thank the Nishwain Group for your presentation. So I will honestly admit that I was one of those very vocal voices about having a full-time planner. But after speaking to different people in government, my understanding is that folks are now shying away from full-time planners and hiring firms. That's like a one-stop shop, right? You get everything in one place. Now, my sentiments have changed through research, through speaking to professionals. If the administration still wants to hire a full-time planner, great. I personally plan on voting yes to the Nishwain Group. And so I want to thank you guys for your presentation. Now, Ms. Bennett, Mr. DeBovie, thank you guys for your advocacy, and especially with regards to resolution 112. Miss Bennett, and you guys are absolutely correct. I'll be voting no for this resolution. This resolution, I believe, unfortunately, is what I think is a political game. I've spoken to different attorneys. The mayor initiated the lawsuit, so therefore she can withdraw at any time without a resolution. There's no need for a resolution. She didn't present a resolution when she sued us, so I don't understand why she's asking us to vote on this. So it doesn't make much sense to me. So with that, I plan on voting no to resolution 112. And then I end my response to public comment. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Williams.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you, everyone, for coming this evening, joining us via Zoom. Mr. Fagan, can we get a count on Zoom audience, if you will?
Yes, Council President, there are 34 people in the Zoom audience.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fagan. So again, thank you to those who are joining us this evening. Most of the comments were regarding the resolutions or ordinances that we have, so I will reserve my commentary so that we can continue to expedite the meeting and move forward timely. But thank you to everyone who had their comments.
That's good. Councilwoman Scarpa.
Okay, great. Thanks for everyone for coming out. I'll just take them from the top. Ron, it's been a pleasure getting to know you and working with you now on the Economic Development Committee. But I have to respectfully disagree. For decades, all of our residents have come out and advocated for a town planner that is an employee. Many feel that they want someone in the vein of Susan Borg that is responsive to the residents of the community. As I've said many times, I've been a business consultant. A business consultant does the job that they're asked to do. And they have they need to be rehired. It's very different when you have an employee who has a fiduciary responsibility, not only to all of the residents, but would have more of a responsibility, I believe, to the council as well. So I think what we're doing is we're putting the cart before the horse. As Mr. DeBovia said, he took the words right out of my mouth. I don't question at all the competency of the Nishwain Group. I feel that once we have a planner, they may have some skill sets that she may lack or she may want to augment, but we don't really know that until we hire the right person, and we haven't really looked. I also, as a business consultant, would never let a client hire someone when we had only one bid. We've only had one bid from the Nishwain Group for the job, and I just don't think that's prudent. So as much as I'd love to work with them in the future in some capacity, I just don't think it's the right business decision to do right now. Rachel Klein, I agree with you. The tree ordinance cannot be passed in the shape it's in now. I believe the work we've done on the tree ordinance for God knows how many months with the back and forth is part of the problem that the administration has in working with the council. We've wasted a lot of time and a lot of money, even though Mr. Gengaro has done a fabulous job. He's very responsive, but we're just wasting our time and wasting the taxpayers' money every time we go back and forth and have meetings and agree on things. And then it's all changed up. We really need to come together and once and for all, stop spending money unnecessarily on legal costs. So I am not going to vote for the tree ordinance. I was very happy with what we had come together with last time, but that's not, again, what was put on. The dog park, I do agree. I think we need just a minimal fee because that will give residents a sense of ownership and commitment. So I do agree with you there. Mr. DeBovie, I think you're right on the money again on the recycling center. The recycling center has been a source of contention for many residents for quite a while. Even though they've changed their name from Reliable Wood to a different name, residents have had concerns about a number of things, primarily the running of the recycling center and the amount that they've been paying in rent. It started out with one price, it came down. There are just so many issues surrounding that group, and the past practices are somewhat questionable. So I will not be voting for them for that. And in terms of the economic development, your assessment of all that, I would agree with you as well. So I think I've hit most of it. Of course, Ms. Bennett and Mr. DeBovie, I agree with your concerns regarding the litigation as well. That's it.
Thank you, Councilwoman Scarpa. Again, Mr. Fagan and Mr. Puglisi, we do thank you for your timely updates. I am deeply saddened that I missed the Irish Heritage Celebration. This is Holy Week, so a lot of things are going on that made it difficult for me to be present, but I'm certainly glad that two West Orange residents were acknowledged and honored today. And Mr. Weston, I thoroughly enjoyed working with you, Mr. Charles and others on the Economic Development Committee. And I particularly was pleased to work on giving advice to the mayor with regard to this particular RFP. And I do recall all of the time that was spent going back and forth between yourself, myself, and Mr. Charles, as well as the full committee, weighing in on what the issues were and what we wanted to see in that role. And, you know, I'll be honest with you, I was not confident at the outset that our recommendations would be received well by the mayor, but they were. And she incorporated, I believe, if not every single one, almost every single one of the recommendations that came out of the Economic Development Committee. And all of those recommendations were decided upon unanimously amongst all of the members. And so, you know, I am glad the mayor acknowledged that and incorporated that into the RFP. While I share I certainly understand your position on Mr. Greigel, and we'll certainly try to process what that means. I do share your support for the Nishwain Group, and I'm excited that they responded, that they are as competent and qualified as they are, that their track record is as long as it is with regard to the success that they've had in other municipalities, and their firm is as diverse as it is in when it comes to the various types of services they provide. It is not lost on me that tonight, as we honor the women in Town Hall, deservedly so, they don't get enough recognition. But as we honor them, we have a woman-owned business presenting the principal principal founding partner of the firm is a woman. And so I am excited to support that as well. I think we need more representation of minorities and women in our vendor pool. So I'm excited to work with you, and I will be voting in support tonight. I'm going to leave everything else that related to a resolution with just some minor comments. With regard to 112, I echo the sentiment of my colleague, Councilwoman Geber Michael. The mayor did not seek our resolution to initiate the lawsuit. She does not need our resolution to end it. And the way this resolution is written, it doesn't just end her involvement in the lawsuit, it would end ours. And that is not something I'm willing to do. So I encourage my colleagues to vote no. I will be voting no on 112. I agree that this is, I think it's unnecessary. I think it's political gamesmanship. And I find it offensive to try and write a resolution that way after taking a victory lap, after an interim decision is rendered that essentially didn't change anything, just kept the status quo as it was established in August of last year. West Orange should be very well aware. We would not need to have a resolution to withdraw from the lawsuit if the lawsuit was over. It is not. And I am expecting, well, at least I would hope and encourage my colleagues to vote no on 112. And then perhaps we can have some conversation about what our next steps are. But it is important for us to understand at the heart of this is not whether or not Mr. Trink can serve as town attorney. That has been clarified in this room multiple times. It was asked by Mr. Gross. It was asked by Mr. Gingaro. It was asked by Mr. I think it was Mr. Abbott. It might have been Mr. Trink, but I could be wrong on that. It was the resolution, while not well written, and I wrote it, I accept responsibility for that. It was written in with the intention of keeping Mr. Trink from assigning work to his firm without a contract, from shutting down the existing firm and starting another one, and then seeking the contract or working underneath the minimums established by local public contracts law, which would allow him $44,000 in bills before he had to get a contract. I know that he has had multiple firms over the years. So the intention was to keep any of those games from being played and to force us as elected officials and local government on the administration side to honor the law. The law says you cannot do work above a certain minimum amount without a contract. Mr. Trink's firm does not have a contract, has not had a contract since December 31st, 2022. All right, I think I've fairly beaten that horse. And I'm excited that it's as early as it is and we can get down to the people's business. Madam Clerk.
Okay, review the consent agenda. Approval of minutes of previous meeting, public meeting, March 12th, 2024.
Consent.
Consent.
Re-
No.
Report of township officers, none. Reading of petitions and communications and bids. Correspondence from Mayor McCartney regarding the reappointment of the Honorable Dennis Dowd as Chief Municipal Judge for the Township of West Orange for a 3-year term effective January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2026. Is there consent?
Consent.
Bills, none. Resolutions, resolution 9624 is being pulled from the agenda by the administration. Are there any other resolutions being pulled this evening?
Yes. I'd like to pull 107, 111, 112,
Hold on, hold on.
Hold on.
107,
111, and 112.
112, okay.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I'd like to pull 103-24 and 104-24 and 96-24.
That was pulled by the administration?
Okay.
Anyone else? I have questions on 113 and 114. And 115.
You want to do those first?
Unless there are any others being pulled?
Not pull, but just question on the executive session for 102. Are we gonna have that this evening?
Yes.
Yeah.
What would I would text Mr. Trank and make sure that you can get here for whenever
We're still under the, temporary relief order, so he's more than welcome to join us.
Mhm.
Is that it?
Yeah,
So no further question on 102? Is that 102?
that was 102. Yeah, because I want to go into session.
Okay. Let's get it done and let people go.
Should be the last thing we do, so we're just all leave.
Yeah, I think that's everything.
All right, so to reiterate, we have 96 pulled by the administration. 103 pulled by Councilwoman, 103 and 104 pulled by Councilwoman Scarpa. 107 pulled by Councilwoman Geber Michael. 111 and 112 pulled by Councilwoman Geber Michael as well. I have some questions on 113, 14, and 15. And I would like so that's what we're pulling. Is that what you got? Okay.
Yes.
So before we actually vote, I just wanted to go over these questions. Mr. Gross, can you explain to us, and this is for the benefit of the public as well as the council, exactly what we're doing with 113, 114, and 115. You can take them in order if you choose. And then I have a couple of questions to follow.
Sure. The first two are remaining year-end resolutions that are required for closing out the books for 2023. They're basically housekeeping. We've done some of this before, but in furtherance of finalizing it, we had found a couple of areas that needed action. And then the third resolution was the temporary budget. We passed the temporary budget in January, which lasts approximately 90 days. We're now coming up into April. We need to extend it into for the next quarter. And it's based on 26.25% for a 3-month period based on the 2023 budget.
So is this because we have yet to pass a budget?
It is because the budget has not been adopted. That's correct.
So, and this is based on, so this is going to be funding this year's budget at last year's rate?
That's correct.
And this is going to allow us to get through the entire second quarter?
Yes.
And do we need to go through the entire second quarter?
Well, like I said-
Aren't we expected to have the budget by the end of the month?
Yeah.
I know we've got to do the work and we've got to pass it, but should that extend all the way till June? Is it June? April, May, June?
Well, that's really entirely up to the council. The mayor will be presenting to you a budget, and depending on what work the council believes it needs to do on that budget, will dictate how much time is required.
So your expectation though is that you'll need to fund local government through June? That we will not?
It has always been our practice to extend in quarters. And of course, once a budget is adopted, the temporary budget is expired. So if it's not utilized, if it's not all utilized, that all reverts into the current budget. So it's not wasted. It's just a matter of taking the action to put it in place. It's more efficient to do it one time as opposed to however X number of the times.
All right, with regard to 114, can you explain to us what these cancellations are?
Yeah, there's basically we're looking to cancel some transactions in the pool account as well as in the capital account. When we went and looked at the accounting, we realized that we needed to eliminate these. These were expenses that weren't required, and we eliminated it for the benefit of ultimately for the taxpayer. It'll free up some surplus and so be used for the bottom line.
So that from the capital account, we can expect, is that, I mean, it's an offsetting number here.
Yeah,
We've got a credit.
the capital account will create capital improvement fund, and that capital improvement fund will then go to the benefit of the taxpayer.
Got it. All right, and then last question, which is related but not directly, when can we expect to get a bill list?
I'm sorry, I would have had it now. I've been out on medical leave for the better part of the last 2 weeks, so I'm a little behind. But I expect there will be a bills list on the next meeting.
Thank you. That satisfies my questions on 113, 14, and 15. Anyone else?
While we're on the topic of the budget, so you're saying we're gonna get the budget at the end of this month. That's a few days from now. Does that mean the mayor's prepared to give a budget presentation in the next council meeting?
I'm gonna speak for the mayor on that. I'm meeting with the mayor tomorrow to go through the budget, and then from there, once the mayor approves the budget, then we will get it into paper and get it in your hands as soon as possible.
Colleagues, any other questions on 113, 14, or 15? No? All right, Madam Clerk?
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The consent agenda is implemented. Okay, resolution 103-24, resolution authorizing service agreement for goose control technology for the year 2024. Councilwoman Scarpa, you pulled this.
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank Mr. Fonzino. He's been really wonderful working with me on this. I had heard from a lot of residents who had concerns on our methodology of dealing with the geese. And I had contacted Doreen Fraga of the Animal Control of New Jersey and asked him to have her come out. She does a free site visit. She has a landscaper who works with her that also for free will give us some advisement. And they are scheduled to come out next Thursday, and I will be working with them, going to all of the sites and continuing to understand the best way to manage, the most cost-effective way to manage geese control. So I want to just thank them. So I really would like us to table this until we can have her out and she can do a presentation to all of this. A lot of the residents really want to understand it better. There are many different options of dealing with the geese. I've been contacting other municipalities and talking to them about how they deal with it. And I really think it warrants a full presentation and a very strategic approach. One of the things I'm very concerned about is the resolution in front of us tonight is twice the amount of money as the resolution from last month for the same type of work. So I need to clarify from Mr. Fonzino why the price has changed in the 8,000 range from the 3,500 range.
I know we added OSPAC or other. I don't think that's. Nah.
Well, I pulled out the one from last time that we had, and I have the one from this time, and there's a difference in the pricing. So I wanted clarification on that as well.
Same resolution.
It's the same resolution, but the cost is different.
Is it a typo?
Take a look at it.
And it's like twice the price. So
Yeah.
it concerned me.
I mean, we can look that up relatively quickly, Mr.
But I want
Jindal.
to table it. Yeah, I want to table it anyway.
Is Mr. Fonzino on?
Yes, Council President, he is.
Mr. Fonzino, can you please clarify for us? I wasn't aware of that either.
Well, usually it's been on the.
Fonzino, can you hear us?
But I know we added OSPAC, so I'm not sure that did any.
No, there were 3 sites in both proposals. We're going.
Director Fonzino, can you hear us?
I thought this was the same resolution.
Good evening. Yes, I could hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you for joining us.
Okay. So, I heard the question, the resolution is for the same amount. Nothing has changed. So I'm trying to understand where you're seeing a change from before.
Well, if you look at the document, it's different price.
No, I think those are different services. The document, it's 3,000, which we've been
Right.
paying, plus the 450 for the.
That's for the
permit.
last one.
And then removal of resident geese,
But the not to
4,500
exceed, yeah.
only. Yeah, but we don't do that. We just do the egg treatment.
Yeah, and that's only if we request it. I think the NTE, so the not to
The
exceed,
not to exceed change.
well, we can lower that. I mean,
Yeah.
that it's still even with,
It's the gassing of the geese that's very expensive, and I think
But I don't,
that's what-
Mr. Poncino, we don't do that, correct?
That's only as needed. The addling is the main objective. And it needs to continue. If we stop this work has to start next week.
Yeah.
And if we stop it, it's gonna really interrupt the process, and a removal may become necessary at that point in time.
So have we already started it? Because
No,
I,
we have not.
yeah,
We
because
have
I understand there's a
period.
long window where you can do this. It doesn't have to be done.
window.
No,
No,
is
it's a
it
very
There's a
short
couple
window?
of months where you can still do.
Eggs don't, I think the gestation period is far less than a couple months.
can you clarify for us, Mr. Fonzino? You were just saying that the work has to start next week. Can you elaborate on that? Why does it
Yeah.
have to start next week?
I think it can wait 2 weeks if that's
The-
possible.
You gotta get rid of
Um,
the eggs and they're gonna patch.
Yeah, no, it has to start within the first week of April. In fact, that's
here.
actually gonna be a little late because they're already finding, not in West Orange, but in other towns, they've already started and they're already finding eggs in nests. So because of the mild weather, chances are we may be a little late already. So the sooner we can get this approved, the more effective the addling will be for our geese in West Orange.
I think we could wait 2 weeks, though. I mean, I think we could still do the job and wait a couple weeks.
Mr.
Point of
Mr.
order.
Abbott, one second, Mr. Abbott, what were you saying?
I don't believe you have with the window of opportunity, I think the meeting's beyond the period that they need to start addling the eggs.
Our next meeting is
April 9th.
April 9th.
Yeah, we can wait till April 9th because you.
Councilwoman Williams?
For quite a month.
Thank
few
you,
months.
Council President. And just for the record, when a point of order is raised, that is supposed to be recognized immediately by the chair. Just wanted to put
Your mic.
just wanted to mention that there was a motion to table and there was no second.
Thank you. If I'm hearing you correctly, Mr. Abbott and Mr. Fonzino, and I don't know these terms, but addling, I assume, is a period of time where these eggs are gestating and they have to be addressed during that period of time. And then if they aren't, it doesn't work. Is
They
that what I'm
hatch.
hearing?
They
Okay,
hatch.
then they have.
It's several
Then we
months,
gotta
though.
remove them.
It's not several months.
28
No, it's
days
not.
away to-
28 days. Yeah.
They sit on eggs, they hatch in a month. It's not several months. I mean, you think about it, springs when you see all the goslings and the geese. Mr. Bonzino could speak probably more intelligently than I can about the health hazards that are associated with goose droppings, but if I just want to be on the record, if we need to close our parks and we need to close OSPAC for the season, the
Angry
administration is
people.
prepared to do that. So everybody has to know that up front.
No.
I moved to for the
Second.
resolution.
All right, you didn't get a second for your table motion. It's been properly motioned and seconded. Hold on before Councilwoman Castellino has a
Yeah, I
question.
just wanted to make a statement.
Sure.
So Councilwoman, whenever we get something like this, and I appreciate you looking at a different alternative, but we got to be careful being in the 12th hour. So if you do have a good recommendation, I would still keep that appointment and bring it to us. So we're in place early for next year, where we're not, competing with a time of essence situation.
I would be open to moving forward as long as Mr. Fonzino commits to having the presentation. We're going to be doing the site
Well,
survey.
we've already got a motion on
Yeah.
that we're gonna have
Yeah.
to vote on.
He said
Um,
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as long as we do have the presentation and we do it
Yeah,
thoroughly.
we always look
So
at
I'll
new
move
things, but we
forward.
can't, not in the 12th hour.
Right.
Madam Clerk?
Yes. Councilwoman Castellino
Yes,
to approve.
to approve, yes.
Councilwoman Geber Michael.
Yes.
Councilwoman Scarpa.
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Council President Rutherford.
Yes.
The motion is carried. Resolution 104-24, resolution authorizing an agreement with Nishwayne Group LLC, Montclair, New Jersey, for an economic development consultant for the provision of consulting and support services to the township. Councilwoman Scarpa, you pulled this.
Yeah, I think, we've kind of talked about it a little bit, and I just want everybody to remember, to just acknowledge that there are so many residents who really feel strongly about this. We heard from Paul Trachtenberg just at our last meeting, who's very well versed about the need for a full-time planner. And I want us to think about the very difficult budget that we're going to be coming into. And I don't feel that we should be doing any unnecessary spending until we take a look at the budget. So I would like to table it. I mean, the Nishwayne Group is, has some nice skills. We may need them down the road, but I would like to table it until we get the budget and we resolve some more of the issues.
Councilman.
So we sat together for well over 2 hours and really drilled them. And I appreciate again their time and sense of humor. We got to bond a lot. Jerry, you really bring a great expertise in planning to the table, that not that the rest of you, but just a lot of the ideas that you stated in that session with planning and zoning. I really liked Michelle. I did a lot of digging on you, and I came across a podcast that you had with one of the doctors. I forgot who it was. I wrote it down, but I like the way you describe Union, that you were a mayor for a couple terms as a big city with the small town feel. And I really like that, because I feel like we're getting larger, approaching with almost 50,000 residents in the township. But being a lifer here, I really want to keep that small town feel. And I think a lot of people who move here want that. I think a lot of people want to keep us a suburb, even though we've always been urban rim. And I felt that you heard me, understood that. And I also appreciated a lot of the same people we know through the downtown programs. So I know you have that expertise in that as well. I did hear a lot more planning and zoning. My issue, I think you're have great expertise. I'm going to be supporting you this evening, but I tread lightly and with administration, because I want to make sure that there is a very good, thoughtful plan to integrate all your services for what we do. There has been a need for a full-time planner for a long time. And I've been, on the fence with that, and I could see where the need is. I had a good talk with our zoning officer. So I like your approach, where you're going to come in weekly and have these team meetings with the staff. And even Ms. Brill will be present, and we'll hopefully won't have that disconnect, those fall through the cracks, and we'll see how that works. So I'm curious to see how that goes. Again, I appreciate the expertise that you have. I look forward to working with you, but I just, I just don't want to, I guess, waste hours or services with, and we talked about, I don't have to rehash a lot of that, but for the public's sake, with different kind of strategies. So I just want to be very focused, target, get the best, bang for our buck, and hopefully bring a lot of exciting new businesses to the whole township. So thank you, Council President.
Councilwoman Williams, you're welcome.
Thank you. Just wanted to also have an opportunity to have commentary on the Nishoing Group. Thank you again for your stellar presentation. Just having a background in real estate, I see value in both opportunities as economic development as well as the planning. And I think it is absolutely correct that my colleagues mentioned, when you understand what many of our communities are moving towards as far as planning and development for their municipalities or townships and cities, it is a much more model that your firm brings to us. And so I'm excited. I do believe that however we call you, whether it be economic developer, whether it be planning or planner, I think it's semantics. I think what is most important for us to understand is how we utilize your services.
Yeah.
So when we talk about whether or not we need a planner, it is my understanding that most of your staff are certified planners. So I don't understand how you would not be able to bring that skill set when that is indeed what your foundation is built on. So I respect the comments of my colleagues as well as, the public. But again, I understand that we are the elected officials who have the opportunity to sit in, understand what different vendors are bringing to us, how you will serve us. And we are also entrusted to make the better decisions for the community. So with that, absolutely am supportive. I have been encouraging us to move into this direction. I made the introduction for you, and I'm just excited and hope my colleagues will move forward with this resolution. And I am going to move that we do pass this resolution.
So
Councilman Gabor Michael.
I'd like to piggyback off of my council colleague here. And this commentary, excuse me. And this comment is actually geared towards Councilwoman Scarpa. The best part of hiring or voting on a professional services contract is that we get to test them out for a year. And if it doesn't work out, you have the opportunity to vote no next year. We can't do that with a full-time planner who is civil service and would become full-time. And the only one that does have the authority to fire them would be the administration. We would not. So for me, that's the plus side. And that's why I kind of switched my thought process. I have been very vocal about West Orange needing a full-time planner. And after I've spoken to different planners, whether it's on different county levels or, professionals in the state or even different municipal level, or even on the municipal level, excuse me, people are shying away from full-time planners. They hire firms because, again, it's a one-stop shop. And they have the staffing, the expertise. And again, if it doesn't work out between the township and that vendor, the following year, they can put out a new RFQ and hire someone else instead of extending the contract. So to me, that's the added benefit and plus, especially after everything we've been through, right? So I wanted to echo that. But and on that note, I'd like to make a motion to.
Well, let me
Oh,
just,
sorry.
yeah. I know, sorry. So did you have another comment you wanted to make?
No, I
No.
just was waiting to see if you had one so I could make the motion.
So, I wanted to just reiterate a couple of things or clarify a couple of things. So I too was one of those folks who wanted a full-time planner and advocated for one for quite some time. And was not able to get that done. And in the process, I learned quite a bit about the space. And one of the things I learned, similar to my colleague here, is that most municipalities, because of the flexibility and the breadth of resources and services that a firm is able to provide, are moving away from an employee who may have a specialty in one space or another, and then still have to hire a firm for all of the spaces where they aren't an expert. So I'm excited to vote yes for this. For that reason too. And I just want to clarify though, for my colleagues as well as the residents, when Councilwoman Scarpa, when you mentioned someone like Susan Borg, who many in town still revere to this day, she was not responsive to residents. She may listen to residents. She may even act on their ideas. But our employees, they respond to the mayor. Township employees work for the mayor. Now, the work that they do benefits the town. Many of our employees go above and beyond the call of duty, and they will listen. They make themselves available for various boards and other community meetings. But they take their direction from the mayor, and Susan Borg did also.
I know that's true, but I've spoken to many residents who worked with Susan Borg and felt she was incredibly responsive to the residents, which is why they want to see someone like that in the role again.
So no matter who we put in that role, if it's a full-time employee, the mayor is their boss. All right, so I'm willing to entertain a motion.
There was a motion by
There was?
Councilwoman Williams. Yeah. Oh, okay. Thank you. Councilwoman Castellino to approve.
Yes.
Councilwoman Geber Michael.
Yes.
Councilwoman Scarpa.
No.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Council President Rutherford.
Yes.
Okay, the motion is carried.
Welcome aboard.
And in honor of Women's History Month, congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
Okay.
Thank you all.
107-24, resolution setting forth fees for dog park passes in the Township of West Orange. Councilwoman Geber Michael, you
Yes.
pulled that.
So while I am very excited for a dog park, I'm still hesitant. I don't think it's fair to charge residents the fee. I get that it's nominal. I'm okay with charging people out of town. Again, the county doesn't charge residents to use their dog parks. Other municipalities don't. So to me, with the taxes that we're already charging residents, the sewer fee, all these other fees, it's just the principle of it. So it just doesn't make sense to me. So I would like to make a motion.
Well, before you do that,
Okay.
can we just have a little more discussion? Does anyone else want to weigh in?
Gonna amend the.
But we should actually have the motion and then discussion.
Well, no, so I want to make a comment. So I think,
True, what she just
yeah, but before we do, we may want to amend.
And that's why you make the motion so that you can do that.
So I have a question, Mr. Abbott. Is there a reason why, is there anything that would prevent us from incorporating or adding on to the existing dog licensing fee? So that when you got your dog license, you would get your dog park permit?
I'll defer to Mr. Fonzino if he's still on the line. I think that's regulated by state statute, the fees, but I'm not certain. There's
So
a,
license fees, yes, that's.
So we couldn't do, all right, so, okay, so you're saying we can't add on to,
I'm not saying, I'm saying that there are regulations about it. Mr. Fonzino could talk maybe more specifically about it. A certain portion of it goes to the state. So it is regulated. But as far as to answer your direct question, whether we can adjust that, I'll defer to Mr. Fonzino on that.
so you have to remember too, that some people who get a license
Don't
may
want
not
the
want
dog
to use the park.
right? Okay. Is Mr. Fonzino still here?
Mr. Bonzino, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, please continue.
Yeah, so to answer the question, it would have to be separate because by statute, we can only charge X amount of dollars. And I believe off the top of my head, I don't have it in front of me. I think the maximum we could charge for a dog license is $21. So had we incorporated it into the license, it would exceed that maximum. So
If we did it at $10 for residents,
yes.
right? If we did a lower fee that was under the state statute, under that $21, would that be permissible?
I believe it has to stay separate, Council President, because it's like Mr. Gross said, X amount of dollars of the dog license fee goes back to the state, which funds the rabies vaccine that we get to offer to our residents for free.
Got it. Thank you, Mr. Fonzino.
You're welcome.
Councilwoman, did you have a question?
A comment about this, yeah.
Please.
Do you want to go first?
You can go ahead.
Yeah, I'd rather see us truthfully, because again, this all goes back to, I commend when we want to do something and the reasons why we want to do it. But being the realistic person that I am, there's going to be no one out there checking these dog licenses on a regular basis to see who paid and who didn't pay. So I think if you need some funding for the dog park, more than likely a licensed person from our township is going to go there. And you just bump up the fee. I mean, where we get hurt is persons coming from out of town to use the park, then, would not have to pay because, again, I don't know how you're going to enforce this. This is always been my issue with everything we do. We can't enforce it. We shouldn't pass it.
I agree with you because that's what we mentioned last time, but you can't enforce it.
Yeah.
Well, we did talk about some level of enforcement. We saw at the last meeting, we discussed that it would be just a random spot
Spot check.
checking. And my concern is, as I indicated and we discussed, if we don't have any mechanism to identify who should and shouldn't be there, and even without a mechanism, if a dog bites you and they leave, we don't have any type of controls.
That's important.
And I think that's extremely important as we open a dog park, because, there is an assumption that these dogs are all going to get along. That's not the case.
No.
And so we need to, I do understand that the $10 fee is just another tax, but I also understood it as we've been gifted this dog park, and we have to have some type of money to be able to buy poop bags. There's very limited equipment out there for the dogs at
I
this
get the
point.
need for the funding. That's why I would increase the license fee a little bit to
Well, I
compensate.
think that's state regulated so that we can't, but I'm not opposed to a nominal fee, unless
And again, it's just if I want to use the dog park. It's not because I have a dog that I'm gonna have to pay an additional $10. It's if I want the license, the tag, so that if I go to the dog park and someone does spot check me, I have a permit to be there.
I just hope, I just hope there's a good enforcement in play, because if we're gonna do all this, then we gotta make sure we back it up with enforcement.
Well, it's a park and we do have park security. We've already discussed this with Director Kehoe. He's gonna have his people check this just like they check all the other parks.
Councilwoman Geber Michael, you had something else?
So I still don't believe in charging residents. It just doesn't make sense. Again, our county parks, in county parks, there's no charge. Other parks don't charge. I understand, I hear what you guys are saying, but just, I can't support it. So I'd like to make a motion to change residents from $10 to no fee.
And then non-residents would have to come get a pass.
$20. If you guys want to, if you want.
Well, if
I
we're gonna
don't
lower
charge anyone.
residents, I think we should raise non-residents to
I'm
offset it a little bit.
compromise on it. I just don't think our residents should have to pay.
Did you do any kind of, any kind of, projections on what it's gonna cost to maintain the dog park?
Yeah,
On a
because-
yearly basis? I mean, so we're spinning our wheels. I mean, how much money do you need?
We don't have the data, but we don't really have the ability to collect that data. We're gonna know more as time progresses. We've talked to other municipalities and, there are costs attendant to it, to replace the bags, the pea gravel and these things. It all has to be done. We don't have the resources the county has. We're a municipality.
No, well, that I know. But no, but other towns do have dog. parks,
Livingston
yeah.
charges, there's other
Where they
municipalities that
charge.
Can we do, would you,
Yeah, I think we really do need to
you said
charge.
Livingston was 10?
I believe so, but I'm
Yeah.
double checking as we speak.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
there
what
are
we're
costs
charging, 10,
associated
yeah.
that should not be passed on to taxpayers who don't use the dog park. So I think the people who are going to use it
All right.
should pay some.
And that's the idea. That's what we do with the pool.
Yeah.
They try to amenitize the town as much as we can, but we also want those amenities to be self-sustaining.
Right. And you want them to be vested. You want them, I think when you pay a little something, you feel like more ownership towards it.
Was there any particular reason why you chose 20 for non-residents? Is there like a statutory maximum for that fee as well?
No, it was it's also what Livingston has to do. They're
Okay.
identical.
So we checked our neighbors, we're competitive with them.
I wouldn't
Uh,
anticipate a lot of
Non-residents?
I'll try it for this year. We could always change it.
I withdraw my motion then, because there's no support for it.
So I move that we accept the resolution.
Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay. Councilwoman Castellino to approve?
Yes.
Councilwoman Geber Michael?
No, because I can't support charging residents.
Councilwoman Scarpa?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Council President Rutherford?
Yes.
Okay, the motion carries.
Excuse me, Council President, can we get a report back after this opens in 6 months from the opening to know how this is all going? If,
Well, I will tell you, poop bags are not cheap.
Yeah.
yeah. No, I get all
We
that.
could do a
I-
cost
I hear
analysis
my-
for the
what my
first
Council
year.
colleague is stating too. I mean, residents feel like we just, we don't charge for people to go to the skateboard park and not everybody skateboards. So, there's,
We don't need.
You don't have to.
I'm just
Yeah.
making a statement.
No, I understand about it.
Playgrounds, right? And
Yeah, not everybody utilized. So we try to provide very nice amenities, but we'll see how it goes. I just don't, if we,
So,
Yeah,
Mr. Abbott,
force
did
it.
you hear Councilwoman Castellino? She'd like a report sent to the council
Yeah.
after 6 months. Mr. Fonzino?
after it opens in May.
We should do a nice cost analysis in the first year too,
That,
in
that,
addition to the six.
that initial report should at least have some
How about a 6-month and a 12-month report?
Yeah.
Yep.
What
usage and expenses. To the extent you can. I know someone's not gonna be there every day. All right, so 107 passed.
Yes.
We are now on 111?
Yep,
Is that right?
111-24. Resolution authorizing award of contract for nationwide cleaning restoration for the year 2024. Councilwoman Geber Michael.
yes, so I pulled this. I remember several months ago when we discussed this contract. My issue was with the amount of days that this company was cleaning. When you guys put out the RFQ, did you ask for cleaning for daily? Because some of these buildings only get cleaned 3 days a week, some 4 days a week.
So we once again polled the directors and the staff, and it's, it's cleaned at normal intervals. Some facilities are cleaned every day because they're get heavier demand, they're open to the public. Other ones aren't used that frequently, so they're cleaned maybe 3 days a week. We can certainly write the specs that they're required every day of the week, but your contract might double in price. I don't know,
Did any of the directors push back or say that they needed?
not one.
Okay, thank you for answering my question.
I move that we accept the resolution.
Second,
Any other questions before we take the vote?
No.
Madam
that's
Clerk?
good.
Councilwoman Castellino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Geber Michael.
yes.
Councilwoman Scarpa.
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Council President Rutherford.
Yes.
The motion carries. 11224, resolution directing the termination of pending litigation. Councilwoman Geber Michael.
Yes, so as I mentioned in my response to public comment, I don't support this resolution. There's no need for a resolution. The mayor initiated the litigation. We did not. Therefore, there's no need for resolution. She can simply withdraw it. So it doesn't make sense. I don't even understand why we're even voting on it. So, and I will.
I echo those sentiments, Councilwoman. I think this was just done in poor taste. When I initially spoke with a member of the administration about it, I expressed a significant amount of disappointment. I think the way we're proceeding with this does not create goodwill. I think it makes it harder to negotiate. I am not supportive of it either. The mayor wants to withdraw her lawsuit against the town council. She is more than able to do so and does not need a resolution from us to do it. Colleagues, anyone else before we take a vote or a motion?
Oh, no, I got to make a statement. So, let's go back in time a year ago, which I don't want to rehash old wounds. Why did the mayor, place his lawsuit on the council? Because government was not moving. The lawsuit, a resolution was passed by the majority of the council, and in that resolution stated no payment shall be made to Richard Trank or the Trank Law Firm or any other firm. So, to go back now and say that, well, we weren't, trying to get rid of Mr. Trank, and not to rehash all that, but that's where it was. And listen, you have your own opinions, you have your own reasons. I get that. But we all know that this could be negotiated. I know you disagree with me on that. I still think now we should end this, and you should all talk, because we're over $50,000 into this just on this attorney for us. And then we're looking at least $25,000 to move forward. And I think that money could be much better spent for many other items that we need here in the township. So with that, I would appreciate if my colleagues, I know how you feel about this tonight, but if you can make an attempt and try to come to some agreement, but I think we should support this and be done with it for the taxpayers of this community. And to state also that, oh, well, they're working with the contract, it costs us money. We were still going to pay another firm dollars for the services that we rendered. So I think that's a disingenuous argument. There's some, the judge, reading through this, she considers, I said this before about past practice, when Mr. Trank and his firm has been one and the same for many years now. And I've seen past practice play out many times when I wore my school board hat for 10 years. And again, I see this as how the judge viewed this as well. So I hope you could reconsider. I hope everyone could work together, and just to put it all on the mayor. Again, I think there could have been negotiations done on this side as well. Thank you.
And Councilwoman, I have some comments to make, but I'm happy to hear from my colleagues before I do. So just want to say a couple of things in response to Councilman Castellino, and I think it's important for the public to know. Why did the mayor file the lawsuit? I understand that the reason that has been offered is that government wasn't working. The reason mayor filed the lawsuit is because we were alerted that Mr. Trink, in spite of not having a contract, and in spite of his bills being pulled, was potentially still being paid. And that is what prompted the resolution. The resolution was written because, and it was written that way, because I did not want Mr. Trink as a sole proprietor to build the Township of West Orange. I didn't want Mr. Trink to dissolve his current law firm and start another one, which something he's done 5 times since he's been township attorney, at least. I wanted to be very clear that it is my sentiment, and I believe the will of the town, the majority of the town council, and it is the will because that's how it was voted, that no one should do business for this township without a contract. And he didn't have a contract. And so if we were going to negotiate, time to do that is before you initiate a lawsuit. And so every dime, even the dimes that we have spent on legal representation in this lawsuit for the town council, the only reason we have those bills at all is because we were sued. In addition to that, when it says no payment shall be made to Trink or the Trink law firm, and we would have to pay another firm for the same thing. If we had to pay another firm, that's fine with me, as long as they have a contract. If Mr. Trink's firm had a contract, and we pay him legally too. And so those arguments are not valid. The issue at hand is whether or not our township attorney can direct legal business for the township to his law firm. And if it was one and the same, it was wrong. But even though it was one and the same, in all of those years, at least that I'm aware of, he still went through the same process as every other law firm that was approved. He sought a contract, and town council voted on the contract. And for 25 years in a row, that contract passed. It is only in 2023 that the contract did not pass. And let's be clear, we're here because even when the contract didn't pass, it was sitting in those seats over there. Mr. Kaiser, fell on his sword as far as I can tell. He gave us a memo. It was waiting on the table when we walked in council chambers, telling us that the mayor could vote to break a tie when the town council had a tie. That was pointed out that night before the meeting, during the meeting, that was not accurate, was not right. And it was allowed to happen anyway. And Mr. Trink got his contract awarded. Subsequent, within a day or two, we had to then rescind it because it wasn't right for the mayor to break that tie. I understand the mayor wants Mr. Trink's firm to have a contract. The mayor has every right to have Mr. Trink as her township attorney. And he can be removed for cause with the supermajority vote of the town council and only with the supermajority vote of the town council. That resolution did not seek to remove him as township attorney. It sought to make sure that he complied with the law. And that, to this very moment, we still are not doing. We're 15 months later without a contract and $500,000 in bills to this township that these taxpayers have to pay. And that, I think, is a travesty. So
Again, another.
wait, let me finish. I didn't interrupt you. So I think if the mayor wants to withdraw, I think she should. If the mayor or you or anyone else wants to find a way out of this without going further down the road, I think it's important that we have that conversation. But I do think if we're going to have that conversation, it has to be had in good faith. I think we have to be honest in our representation of what we're doing to the township. And the actions of the past week or so have misled the township. We have half the township thinking that this lawsuit is over, and it is not. So There may be a way forward without further litigation. I don't know. But I do know that, was it 112? That resolution 112 is first unnecessary. Second, seeks to take away our rights as a town council, seeks to end for both parties with prejudice any further proceedings. The mayor should not even ask us that. I think that's now, if we want to talk about something being disingenuous, that is disingenuous. Because that is absolutely unacceptable to me. It should be unacceptable to the public. And I hope my council colleagues vote no on 112. Did you want to respond, or can we take the vote?
No, I'm done. Again, I feel this was personal and political and just disappointed in the whole thing.
Madam Clerk, I offer a motion to approve 112.
Hold on. Is there a second? No second, the motion fails.
Wow. Look at that. You didn't even second.
Huh?
You didn't even second.
Let it go.
Thank you.
Ordinance is on second and final reading. 2844-24, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 7 Traffic, subsection 7-23.1, turn prohibitions of the revised general ordinances of West Orange, Pleasant Valley Way, and Greenwood Avenue. Is there a motion to introduce on second and final?
Second. So move second.
Councilwoman Castellino?
Is it 2844?
Yeah. Councilwoman Castellino?
Yes.
Councilwoman Geber Michael?
Yes.
Councilwoman Scarpa?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Council President Rutherford?
Yes.
So please, I'm ready to say second.
We have public comment now, right?
Public hearing, yep.
No, sorry. If there's anyone in council chambers, and thank you, Nishwin Group, you're welcome to stay, but please don't feel obligated. We're certainly done with all the business that will affect you tonight. If there's anyone in council chambers that would like to comment on 2844, dealing with the turn prohibitions on Pleasant Valley Way and Greenwood Avenue, you are invited to the microphone now. Thank you, guys, and again, welcome aboard.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Yeah, I have a comment.
Seeing none in council chambers, public comments now closed. Councilwoman Castellino.
So I had called Mr. Moore, our Superintendent Moore, about this because we did have some conversation. And part of that conversation is notifying the parents of this, which is not a problem. He would be more than glad to do so and talk to the principal, get out on school messenger. But more importantly, we were discussing the traffic issues. I know some folks had emailed me after they heard the last council meeting. They are working on trying to get the students to ride the buses because that has been an issue. Less students have been riding the buses. They're trying to get them to take the bus. A lot of students have been driving. A lot of parents have been dropping off. Also came across another issue, which I've been trying to work out with the chief, and it's something that we have to look at in regards to our parking situations around the township. We have students parking in the municipal lot during the day up at on Pleasant Valley Way in Pleasantdale Center. So, that takes spots away for the patrons, for the businesses during the day. And again, the students should be parking with the parking lot at the high school, not taking up spots. So that's something I've been working on with the chief to see how we could, what we could propose to the council to be able to solve that situation. So that's about it. So
do you think that's enough to alleviate the need for this?
No. I mean, this is, they're gonna have to look, they're looking at it, they are trying to resolve it. Mr. Moore thinks the main problem, what happens is we have a lot of staff out there during the high school drop off. And then they go inside and then there seems to be a little bit of issue when Kelly starts to be dropping off. Don't forget they have early drop off for their preschool program, not preschool, but before school program. So when the high school staff goes in, so he knows they're trying to work it out. And
But this is still needed.
well, if the residents want it, I guess it's helpful, but, he didn't comment on that. He's just working on the issues at hand for the complex.
I share your concerns, Councilwoman. I don't think this solves the problem. I mean,
No.
it's hard to vote no on a resolution like this. We had this conversation 2 weeks ago. It's hard to vote no, but I just want to be clear. I think voting yes is not going to solve the problem. I think people are just going to pull into the bank and still come out Greenwood, even if they don't make the left onto Greenwood. And so you're just moving the traffic issue one driveway down. And you're going to find other folks will figure out a different solution that's going to cause a problem in another neighborhood. So I applaud Mr. Moore for taking a holistic approach to addressing the traffic. And I think I think that's what's needed. But again, it's, I voted to move it on first reading. It's hard to vote no on something like this. If something goes wrong and I voted no, I would feel horrible. If somebody's crossing that street and happens to get hit by a car, I'd feel horrible. So obviously I can't vote no. But I do want to figure out what we can do. And I don't know what the solution is. I don't know if, Zajapet, Ms. Carballo, Director Carballo is involved. I don't know if the Pedestrian Safety Advisory Board is involved. I don't know if the Nikhil Badlani Foundation is involved in trying to address some of the pedestrian safety issues, which are directly tied to vehicular traffic around our schools. But I think they should be, as well as at least one or two of us.
Yeah,
Let's
I
go.
had suggested the last meeting that Mike Miller, who's a traffic engineer and sits on pedestrian safety and on our zoning board, he might be a good person to look at this if somebody could just ask him to weigh in a little.
Brings a lot of value to both of those.
And he probably would be willing to take a look, think about it a little bit.
Has anyone reached out to him?
Okay, so who should do
No?
that?
All right, so yeah, but that's what's needed. So I will speak with Superintendent Moore.
So do we just want to table this for now?
What is I wanted to understand if we're on second reading, what would be the process if we don't move it forward tonight?
No real issue. I mean.
Could we table it?
This is not imminent. We could table.
You can't table. on
Can't table
second reading. I want, what would it then require us just to not?
For legal.
Oh, okay.
We just have to go read it again on the first reading. We ever go on that.
I would think that you would be able to table it if you could and read it again for second reading at the next hearing. However, I'd have to double check.
Could we say we want to table it until Mike takes a look at it?
You can table to a set time, but
So-
you might not want to be that restrictive because he may not be available and then you've
Right.
restricted it pending his availability. So I would not add a specific
name.
name.
Till we get a
I would-
professional, yeah.
I would
How
say a
about we table until we get a professional to take a look at it?
But is it okay, you're checking to confirm if we can table on second reading?
That's correct.
I don't think there's any reason that you have to vote tonight.
Okay.
But does that mean we just fail to offer the motion, or can we formally table it?
Well, you can close your, what you have, I believe, your public comment,
Which closed?
it closes, and then you can, I think you can. I'll defer to legal and exact that. I think tabling is probably
Move
what
to
you would
table
do.
to a set time.
But it's been done, I've seen it done numerous times
Okay.
in my career.
That's my understanding as well.
So we can table in second.
Make
I'm
that
gonna
a formal
second.
motion.
Yeah,
No.
I'm gonna move to table it.
Councilwoman Scarpa moved to table and I seconded.
Councilwoman
And-
Cat,
I'm sorry, I just want to say, and when you bring it back, it does not require, you can choose to have an additional public comment, but there's no requirement because you've already had the public comment for this ordinance.
Got it.
I have a question for the chief.
Just before we take the vote, Madam Clerk, Councilman Castellino.
So Chief, say if we had passed it tonight, where would you put the signage? Because that's my other issue. Like we passed this and I drove by it a couple times, with all that goes on there, would anybody even see the signage?
No,
No.
because it's
Yeah.
so busy. That's
Yeah.
the concern.
they're not
That's
gonna see.
why I'm not supportive. I understand Council President Rutherford's sentiments, but I think we need a better plan and I think we need
Professional.
Well,
Yeah.
someone else to look at it.
Our town engineer did look at this, so I deference to her. I don't want to
Yeah,
suggest that.
she did. She made a
professional
good
did review
statement
this.
last
This
week.
was who wrote this plan. The signs, you're captive to where you can put them. You can put them on the
Yeah.
right side.
There's a lot of
heading
trees hanging down there.
And you
Yeah.
can put them across the street where if somebody's looking to turn left, they would turn left, they would see them. Other than that, I don't know what kind of a plan somebody's gonna come up with for this. There's really no alternative. This was to, to appease the residents on Greenwood. They don't want traffic turning up the street and turning around and making K-turns and so on.
I think it doesn't solve that problem. I think it solves it a little bit. And the other issue too is that, people are gonna just make the turn anyway.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I'm thinking. They're not.
Unless we have a police
here
officer
to-
there or some other, authority there, they're just gonna make the turn anyway. I mean, people are rushing to drop off and get to work in the morning. And that's really the issue. People are rushing to drop off and get to work. That's why we had to put the cones in front, because people were making the left out of the parking lot and, causing all kind of traffic nightmares. The sign clearly said no left turn. And it says it right now at Edison. And people come out of Edison after dropping their children off and make the left turn. Sometimes it causes, some confusion, and traffic issues. So, I think we certainly want to be sensitive to the residents on Greenwood. We know that they have a quality of life issue and we want to address it. But I think what the council is saying is that we want to address it in a way that makes sense, not just for Greenwood and doesn't create the problem somewhere else, or we give a half solution. And this isn't to criticize anybody, but people aren't gonna, if we put the sign there, they're still gonna make the left, but they're just gonna go through the bank.
Well, I don't disagree. Some will, some won't. It's just like putting a speed limit sign up on a street.
Right.
Some people see it and it says 45, they won't go over 45. Other people will do 55.
I won't say which members of the council don't listen to those 45-mile-per-hour speed limits. Yes, we are.
I don't have speeding tickets in West Orange.
I don't either. So the motion was offered and seconded to table. Are we ready for the vote?
Madam
Any other
Clerk?
commentary?
No more. It's
Madam
not
Clerk?
supposed to be
Councilwoman
commentary.
Castellino.
Questions?
Yes.
Councilwoman Geber Michael.
Yes.
Councilwoman
Yes.
Scarpa, Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Council President Rutherford.
Yes.
The motion carries. Okay,
All right.
ordinances on first reading, 2845-24, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 7, Traffic, subsection 7-13, parking prohibited at all times on certain streets, and subsection 7-32.2, restricted parking zones of the revised general ordinances of West Orange. This affects 15 High Street, 14 Washington Street, 16 Llewellyn Avenue, and 77 Kirk Street. Is there a motion to introduce on first reading?
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Castellino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Geber Michael.
Yes.
Councilwoman
Yes.
Scarpa, Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Council President Rutherford.
Yes.
The motion is carried. Okay, 2846-24.
Question.
Oh,
I just want to make sure that, so what's the process? All the residents going to be notified of this? Obviously, they'll get letters. I mean, there's going to be ample notification for second reading.
Yeah, I'll speak to our township engineer. and
Because,
see what the game plan is.
this all sounds great, restricted parking zones, but there's very, very limited parking down there. So,
Yeah, they definitely need an opportunity to address us in public comment.
yeah, I want to make sure they're notified because,
Well,
Yeah.
I'll find out. I don't know what the genesis of this particular.
Yeah.
ordinance was. I'll speak with our township engineer and become enlightened and take care of the rest. of the
yeah,
story.
because parking's brutal in that area. Thank you.
But this would be just a question and another question.
Restricted.
Councilwoman?
This would just be restricted parking at these particular addresses that are identified. It wouldn't be restricted outside of the,
Yeah, I didn't get a chance. I wanted to talk to her about that. And I-
okay.
Is Zaya Beth on? I know.
Yeah, that's okay. I could,
No,
It's
that's
just
all right.
first reading.
Wait.
Yeah, we can
yeah,
wait.
it was
Better
first
have it
reading, so I
even.
just wanted to, I didn't get a chance to look at this one. But other than I knew that I wanted to talk to her, I just get a chance today to talk.
Okay.
Okay, 2046-24, an ordinance repealing and replacing chapter 25, section 27 of the revised general ordinances of the Township of West Orange and establishing chapter to be determined for environmental protection, tree protection, removal and replacement. Is there a motion to introduce on first reading?
Don't everybody jump.
Okay, no motion.
Could I just comment? The administration did not change that at all.
And if I may.
Please.
I heard some comments in response to the public comments. We had a workshop together, Council President Rutherford, you were there, Councilwoman Scarpa, you were there. We talked about 3 things to add to the ordinance as it was written at that time. The 3 things were the 1-to-1 tree replacement, which was added. It was the changes to the tree removal fund to limit it to 0.75 acres. I added. And then there was the neighbor notification form so that it was the 3 people across the street and anybody else whose lot touched yours. I added it to the best of my ability. Those were the 3 things. I clarified them at the end of the workshop, during the workshop, and at the last council meeting on the record. They were, all 3 of them were added. It was inaccurate to say that it's the only differences between the last one and this one were the 3 things that I added at the request of the Township Council at the last meeting by a 3-2 vote.
So it's my understanding, and I will tell you, I have not read it thoroughly. I did read as much as I could today. I had access issues to my email until literally today, from Friday to today. But one of the key sentences that I think needs to be kept in here, and my understanding that it isn't, how many healthy trees can be taken down per year? 2? Is that in here? Can you point me to where that is?
It's on page 6. Section 4, first line.
Of this.
It's 2 trees and 24-month period, but yes, it's in there in the first line.
So anyone who wants to do any type of renovation and has to remove a healthy tree is now going to be told by the Township of West Orange that they cannot do any improvements, modifications, or adjustments to their property because of a tree removal ordinance?
No, that's not what that means. If more than that have to come down for any of the reasons you just enumerated, that is what the tree fund is for. There are other mechanisms to allow for it, but that's for 2 healthy. No,
Excuse me, I don't believe so. I believe the language, I can look for it, but I believe it says you can't take down more than 2 trees in a 24-month.
I thought that's what I read. I thought
stop.
that's what I read.
You can't.
No. So, Mr. Gengaro, can you weigh in on this? Because this is what we went back and forth on. It is my understanding that for lot sizes 0.75 acre or less, they are allowed to remove trees for whatever those purposes were. And if they can't replant them on their property, then they have to go to the tree fund. If you can remove the trees and replant on your property, then you don't even need the tree fund. But it's only when you can't replant them on your own property that you would then be able to pay into the tree fund. Is that not what we discussed?
It was what we discussed, Council President. So one clarification that I would add, though, is that the way that this ordinance is written is that residents who desire to cut down more than 2 trees would not have that opportunity regardless. If in their instance that, for example, a development application was given a variance or something of the like to cut down more than the 2 trees or whatever have you, then yes, we would go through the tree replacement process. But even if you cut down 1 tree,
You have to
you would
have a
have to
permit.
replace it with you would have to get a permit and you would have to replace it in the accordance with the chart that was located at table A. But again, obviously the ordinance didn't, it failed, so.
Well, so here's the thing. I want to be clear on that particular issue because that's not it. All right, so that's not why I didn't raise my voice to move it forward. the process as we worked it out in that last workshop, I can't remember how long ago it was. I want to remove trees on my property, no matter what, I gotta apply for a permit,
Correct.
right? Town forester comes out and inspects the trees, right?
Correct.
And determines whether or not there is a hazard. If there's a hazard, if the tree is unhealthy, if it poses some risk to, falling on the house or falling onto the sidewalk, then there is a process for that. And if the tree is healthy, there's a separate process for that.
Correct.
Right. Now, in this case, we're talking about healthy trees.
Correct.
So if I want to take down a healthy tree on my property, I apply for the permit. The forester comes out, inspects the tree. There's a notification process that's done. And unless he denies it for some reason, and there are some reasons that he could deny it, and I don't want to get too far in the weeds, but as long as we get the permit, then I can take down the tree. When I take down that tree, my obligation is to replant another tree on my property. So it's a 1-to-1 replacement. I take down this tree, I plant another one on, I'm sorry. This is the 8, is this the 8-to-1? What are you gonna?
So, yes, that was the only thing that I was gonna clarify is depending on the size of the tree in accordance, you'd have to go through the table A process. So if it was a hazardous tree, then you'd be correct. It would be the 1-to-1 replacement on your property. If it were the viable tree in accordance with this ordinance, say you bought a house with like a relatively big tree up front. So according to Mr. Kipp, the township forester, there are a decent amount of trees that are 30-inch diameter. They call it DBH in the tree world. So where the tree is 30 inches in diameter, you would then have to replace it in accordance with table A with either
8 2.5,
8 2.5 DBH trees for 4-inch trees.
or 4-4-inch.
And you would have to do that first. If you have less than 0.75 acres, you'd have to first try to do it on your property. If you were unable to do it on your property, you'd have to ask your neighbor if and when they said no, then you can put money into the tree removal fund to accommodate for say you only have room for 1, you put money in the tree removal fund for 7. And then if you have greater than 7.75 acres, as it's written right now, you would not have the opportunity to remove that tree unless you were able to replace it with the 8 or 4, depending on the diameter trees on your property. That is how this was written.
Right. That is my understanding. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, and the reason we got to this point is because of the significant depletion of our tree canopy.
Correct.
And we've lost something like 10% of its 3 percentage points, but we've gone from 30 to 27% coverage in 5 years, or however many years it was.
Correct. And I would say all this is with the caveat that there is a line in the ordinance that prohibits you from removing more than 2 healthy trees throughout the 24-month period. So
Right.
if you wanted to theoretically remove 3 trees on your lot, you would need to get some sort of variance in order to do so.
Right. So it's not that it would, because you got to go through the permitting process to build something on your property anyway. If you're just taking the trees down because you want more sunshine, that's not going to be approved by the forester.
Not if you're building a fence, not if you're building a fence.
If you're building a fence, that's, you're improving your property. If I'm wrong, correct me. The issue is we're trying to stop. So we have flooding issues throughout town. We have a tree canopy that's now down to 27%. We had a presentation by the Environmental Commission, all of whom are, as far as I'm aware, picked by the mayor. We had testimony in our workshops from our town forester, all stating how dire our situation with regard to our tree canopy is, which is why we needed to do something significant to not just protect what we have, but to start regrowing it. Is that not what we went through for the last year now? Yeah. So I recognize that this tree ordinance is a very strong tree ordinance.
It will be the most aggressive tree ordinance in the state of New Jersey.
How do you know that?
because I've checked.
Okay, I'm glad you know that. I don't know that.
Okay.
I'm glad you know that.
Thank you.
This is the first time you've raised that. So yes, it is a strong tree ordinance and it's meant to address, and you're welcome to vote no on it if you choose, right? But this is what this job sometimes requires, making difficult decisions. And what we don't want to do is have unintended consequences, which is why we're having this conversation right now. But we do have to acknowledge the challenge that we're facing with regard to tree coverage. And if we're going to maintain the small town feel, we got to keep trees. Councilman.
So two things here. One, I just want to get clarification because there's so many different, we've got hit with a lot of different versions and I appreciate everyone who's been working on this. I really do. So now we're back down to, you have to get a permit for a tree that is 2.5 inches or greater, because it was 4 was the minimal. Now you're talking about, little trees in your flower bed in front
That
of
I
your
can do with
house.
some snippers. That I can take some snippers. Take
Yeah.
that down.
No, so, but I'm asking, like, what, it was at 4, now 2.5 is back in here.
Well, what we agreed on, Mr. Gingaro was there. What we agreed on in that meeting, this comes from the Environmental Commission and from our town forester, are these numbers 2.5 inches and 4. Now, I do recall in our council meeting,
That landscape bed.
that
flower
same
beds.
question. So 2.5 inches, you're very strong if you can do that with clippers. And I just do it on video so we can see it because that'll go viral. You can just get some clippers and clip something.
For a 2.5 inch tree.
Yes, for a
Okay.
2.5 inch tree. You would have to be really strong to do that. But maybe you can.
Yeah, I'm very strong.
Yes, yeah. So I understand your concern, and I think the issue wasn't like if it's a tree, I think there are some other things that may look like trees, and that's part of what the conversation was, at least in the back and forth we had around the diameter. There are things that are smaller diameter that may, that people may want to take up and not need a permit for. I don't know. Can you speak to that, Mr. Gingaro?
Yeah, why 2.5? That's
That's the replacement though.
No, this is for removal.
You can
No
put it
person
in.
shall
I'm not
be
exposed
granted
to it.
permission to remove more than 2 trees, blah, 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 blah. 2.5 inches or greater.
This ordinance was helped drafted by our Green West Orange, and council asked me to put it back up a few meetings ago. The one that was drafted with the assistance of our Green West Orange recommended 2.5 inch trees. That is why I put it up. It was at the direction of the Township Council. The administration's version of the ordinance, I believe when it was put up about a month and a half ago, maybe less, it was 4 inch trees.
So that was not just our Green West Orange. That was also myself, Councilman Scarpa.
It was prior to that. It was
Mm.
prior to the workshop. This was put up prior to the workshop.
Okay, so in the workshop,
We went back over, we didn't go over I don't recall, unless I'm mistaken, I don't recall going over the DBH of what constitutes.
no, we dealt with the 3 things. What we did was, prior to that workshop, the council did not vote on the mayor's version of the tree ordinance. We then from the floor, we offered a motion to put the one that had been agreed on, which was multiple, which is this version. The version that had been agreed on prior to the changes that the mayor had implemented in her version, we agreed to put that version back on. And when we did that, then we scheduled the workshop, which had the town forester, the Environmental Commission, our Green West Orange, yourself, myself, and Councilwoman Scarpa. That's
I think that's correct. I kind of lost you a little bit there, but yes. So essentially what had happened was the administration put on an ordinance. The motion failed to have it be read at first reading. Then it was brought up at new business, I believe, that the version that was on before that was helped authored by our Green West Orange would come back up. We went to the workshop. We discussed the 3 things that you wanted me to add into the ordinance. I added them. And here we are.
So this came out of that workshop, which I understand. So again, it's not, it's not about who has the strongest ordinance. It's about what is enforceable. I read through this. I don't know how we're going to enforce it. And if it's so.
So can I offer something?
Let me finish my thought, Councilman. So if it's so how can I put the right word I'm looking for right now without sounding, and trying to be polite. I just don't want folks, I don't want this to work against what you're trying to accomplish, because people are gonna see this and just go cut down their trees anyway and risk the fine, because it's too much. It's overkill. And I get it, why, but there's gotta be a balance, because you want to encourage people, you want to educate people, you want to make sure people do not take down a tree unless you absolutely have to. And a lot of, we had a lot of town trees that got taken down. I'm a little sensitive about this because my daughter's been staying with me because a huge tree went through her front window, her whole house, right in front of the house came down. And thank God that she's fine, and my granddaughter, and it was terrifying. It was really terrifying this weekend for me. So at the end of the day, there has to be the right balance, because you want to make sure people don't take down trees unless they absolutely have to. And some trees that may have to come down, that you want to make sure they do come down so nobody gets killed. And that's all I'm asking to be done here. To go back down to 2.5 diameter, I'm sorry, that's just disappointing. That is just
So
gonna
offer the
discourage
compromise.
people. Well, I want 4 inches there, but this has been so laborsome to review, because any other time, I mean, in years past, up until we've been recently doing things, and even when I was on the school board, you took the current policy and you redlined your amendments and you're able to follow the bouncing ball. This has been so confusing, and you have to keep going through it. The last version, the 4 was in, now it's out, what's in, what's out, and there's no highlighted or what needs to be done. So, and it's not your fault, Mr. Gengaro. There's a lot of chefs in this soup here. So and again, it's important. I'm not saying the work doesn't need to be done, but if we don't strike the right balance with this, it's going to have an adverse effect on what you wanted to accomplish. And again, it just,
Do you want to amend it?
I like to amend that one thing. I need to amend a few other things that I looked at, but then again, do I just, is it a waste of my time? Or is it going to get
Listen,
overruled?
I have spent an inordinate
I
amount
know.
of time on this particular ordinance. And listen, I think we're moving in the right direction. I think we've got to strengthen our tree ordinance. If you can offer a reasonable amendment.
But I hadn't recommended that. That's why it was 4, because it was a couple versions ago brought down to 2.5. I brought up the 4, it went back up to 4, and now it's down to 2.5. Again, follow the bouncing ball. It's
That
been
one that
frustrating.
the mayor had introduced had significant flaws, and had to be redone. So we could have sat, all night long and tried to amend that and come out with something different, or we could have done what we did, which was have a workshop and then have representatives from the Environmental Commission and our forester weigh in. But if you'd like to offer that back in there, I think you should. And if there are others, you may want to offer them as well, because I would much rather have this done tonight than have to deal with it any further. And we are dealing with some time constraints.
I'd like to make amendment for that one. There'll be.
So you have to spell it out for the clerk.
But is this getting tabled tonight? That's why
No, it failed. It failed to be
failed.
introduced, but we could then introduce it as amended. Is that not right?
In your business, you introduce it as amendment, if you have 3 votes.
When we.
No, it can't be voted.
Here's the problem, Councilwoman, and I appreciate the workshops, but again, if we would all need to be in it.
I understand. If I proposed a workshop, that way we're just talking about it.
Okay, I thought you meant with the committee again. Okay.
No, with a workshop.
I would definitely
can ask-
support a workshop. I'm very unhappy
Yeah, there's
with
a lot in here.
some additional items. I think it is more than a notion to ask our neighbors to give consent to remove a tree. I think notice to neighbors is acceptable, but consent runs the gamut of too many excuses, rationales, reasons why people would say no, and it may have absolutely nothing to do with environmental concerns. So I absolutely vehemently object to consent.
So Councilwoman, you were offering an amendment?
I'll make this one, but I do like the idea of the workshop. I think we need to,
We have had,
I know.
I spent my spring break last year. Mr. Gingaro, I think Mr. Trink was on that as well. I spent 2 or 3 hours spring break last year, sitting in a workshop, working on this ordinance. I mean, like, this is not new. This is.
I know, but recommendations that we've made obviously didn't get in here because they're not here. And
Right, well-
are we made them and we agreed to something and then they
And then
get
other things
switched
get
back.
added to that we didn't agree to, or things get changed without notification. And then only when someone actually does a thorough reading do we find it. I mean, so there,
I made the 3 changes that you asked me to make.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about this version, Mr. Gingaro. Please don't take it personally. It's not about this. This is over a year
Yeah,
in the making, or
yeah.
about a year in the making.
But again, it wasn't, it's in, it's out, it's in, it's out. So it's not that easy of a read. So it's
I
easy.
agree.
Yeah.
So may I please propose that we do an afternoon workshop during lunch, a 1-hour workshop? from
Yes.
Like 12 to 1.
Yes,
Where we're all on Zoom.
yes.
You know, and then we sit here and go through it from the beginning, section by
I
section, to
think we
see
have to.
what changes we have to do, because I think that makes the most sense.
Yes.
You know.
Can you make a
So
motion
you
to do
made the
that?
motion?
So, yes, I made that.
And I
motion.
second.
So-
I'll second it.
I did already.
Can we take out our calendar?
No,
Yeah,
we have to vote first and let's do the calendars and new business.
Hold on, I'm sorry. You're making a motion to do a workshop?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Well, the
online
it's a-
Zoom workshop. for the
We already turned it,
pre-ordinance.
already.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think we have to.
We
vote
just
on
have
that.
to
You don't
agree.
need to make a motion to do a workshop, right?
Look, we're making a motion to do a workshop so we can stop debating back and
You
forth.
don't have to do a motion.
Okay,
to do
well
a
then, let's,
Okay.
If everyone's in agreement, then, you know, that's not necessary.
all right,
So
fine.
can we do it this Thursday in the afternoon?
I can't.
Yeah, this week's
Just a
holiday.
week.
Yeah, this,
Do you think it's
I got 30
realistic
people come from me.
for an hour? You did a cannabis or whatever.
Yeah.
Thursday, I can't. It's holy.
beforehand.
Yeah,
Yes.
I cannot do it Thursday.
That's okay.
Yeah, I
Don't
cannot.
forget,
Thursday.
we celebrate Easter early. My Easter.
Yeah.
is
It's
May 5th.
Maundy
Yeah.
Thursday. I cannot do it on Thursday. I cannot do it on Friday. I cannot do it on
Yes, I
Saturday. I
forgot it
cannot
was
do it on
Easter
Sunday.
week.
Yeah.
I don't celebrate this.
you guys good on Tuesday?
So next
Because
week.
because Councilwoman's off of school next week, so maybe easier for her to do a,
Yeah, Tuesday would work for me.
I'm on spring break with my daughter.
no, you don't want to be
Yeah,
talking
so
about
no.
trees.
And if we don't do it earlier in the week, I have surgery scheduled Thursday
Oh.
for my
okay.
knees, so I'll be out at the next meeting. I'll be on virtual depending on how the pain level is, so
Now you're looking at the first week of April, second week of April, which
we have a council meeting on that Tuesday, and then we're time crunch.
What date is our next council meeting?
April 9th.
it would have to be on the 8th in order to be considered. It couldn't even be considered,
Nope.
right?
Which
Wouldn't
is
have enough time to
also
notice.
They
New
need it by
Jersey
Wednesday,
Local
April
Government
3rd.
Week.
They need it by Wednesday, April 3rd, in order to get it on the agenda. So
That's not gonna happen.
it's. If we're gonna do this, it would only be able to happen next week.
April 1st or the 2nd, and you're on spring break. Are you out of?
I will support your 4 inches if you make that amendment, Councilwoman. I'm happy to look at other amendments. I think we need to get this behind us. The mayor has, I think May 1st, is it May 1st, Mr. Abbott, where the deadline is to have the tree chart?
That's my understanding.
For the grants,
So
right?
maybe we should just do the first reading and then make some
So then
amendments.
maybe we should,
So for the grants, you have, like, we have a strong ordinance to begin with. Like, why do you need this done for the
Mr.
grant?
Gingaro can clarify that.
That's where I'm confused.
Mr. Abbott.
We have a very weak ordinance. The existing ordinance is very weak. That's the whole,
That's our problem.
that's the whole genesis of why we're doing what we've been doing for the last year, trying to get a stronger tree ordinance. Now, arguably, too strong, it's not strong enough. I mean, you know, everybody has their own position on that, but the one that's on the books now, as I understand it, is very lame. And that's from our environmental commission, for West Orange Green, from the forester. I haven't heard anybody say that's a good ordinance.
I thought well, maybe I
And
thought
the
it
tree
failed.
chart is a
We've been
part,
working on this.
like, we need that chart. Don't we need that chart, Mr. Chingaro?
I think we need to have a
So,
workshop next week.
Again, the model tree ordinance that the state has proposed has the chart and has a chart in it for tree replacement. In order to get the grant.
Excuse me, council.
My understanding is that in order to get the grants, the ordinance, the township ordinance has to comply, not mirror the model tree ordinance, obviously, but it has to conform with the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection model tree ordinance. So again, I've circulated that. I'm happy to circulate it again. If it's easier, it's only about 5 pages, the model tree ordinance.
Exactly.
It's not a long read, so.
Did Our Green West Orange send you an email with the changes that were apparently made? Did you get a chance to look at that?
When you say the changes that were apparently made, I got sent an email.
That's this one,
That's this
It's
one.
a
You're
different
saying that it
ordinance
hasn't
number.
been changed. It's not a different ordinance.
Which ordinance are you referring to?
So the
I
one-
was sent an email, okay. I was sent an email from Joyce Rudin of Our Green West Orange with comments, a red line version to the ordinance. Purportedly, and I don't want to speak for him because I don't know this for 100% fact, because I didn't get to talk to him. Purportedly done by Paul Trachtenberg. I then sent it to Karen to circulate to the township council because in the full interest of transparency, I received it, so I circulated.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that. I skimmed it today too. I just saw it today though. Which is part of the issue.
Do you have this? Let me show them.
Yeah.
Can we?
Yeah.
I didn't know, I wasn't instructed, I should add, by Joyce to circulate to everybody. I just did it as a courtesy.
No, that's all right.
No, we appreciate
Nobody's
that.
complaining about that.
No, we appreciate.
No, that's not a
We
criticism of
appreciate it.
you. I know there's a lot of mistrust, but that wasn't what that was meant to convey.
I don't have this. Oh,
Guys, I mean, we can't do this on the fly. It's too serious. So we have to have, we have to do this in a workshop and we have some time constraints. We have to make some concessions.
Councilwoman, I will remind you, when we were working on the time constraints for cannabis, you flat out refused to even consider making any accommodation for folks on the weekend. So,
It is not true. You cannot say what I made accommodations for anything. If I'm not available, I'm not available. You just said you're not available. I work on Saturday and Sunday.
so Councilwoman, you said flat out, I won't do it on a Saturday.
I'm not available. I cannot do it on Saturdays. I work.
Stop.
Don't tell her to stop. I have a job. You can't do certain things on Sunday
Wow,
because you
you know
are
what?
pastoring your church.
I
Which
appreciate
is your job.
attitude and
Which is your job.
demeanor. It's just
Okay,
beautiful
well,
and
you
it's
don't have to
helpful.
tell me what I said last year.
Well, that's
Speak
exactly
to me.
what you said 2
No,
weeks ago.
it is not what I said.
It is.
I said I was not available, and that's
No,
the same
said,
thing
I'm
you
not
just
going to,
said.
just go read the tape.
I don't
Tape.
have to read the tape. I know what my availability
All right,
is.
so I don't want to argue with you because I think it's
Please don't.
childish.
Please don't. And don't
So-
tell people what I said.
You are, wow, you are amazing. I am very impressed.
We
with
need
your
a workshop. It's just, oh, we need a workshop.
So listen, I will tell you, I am not available this week. I am not available next week.
Isn't that what you just said that I said? But that's a crime for
No,
me.
no, you said any Saturday. You said any.
You said
Saturday.
I'm not available this week or next week.
Right.
I said I wasn't
That's not
available
any
for a day.
No, you said any Saturday. I work on Saturday. So-
These comments. Not in this book. She said, okay. For example. That's the way to. It's right there. My point's the wrong answer.
Councilwoman.
It's right there.
For us to go through this with the attorney,
Line by line.
Exactly.
Okay, what's the other one? What's the other definition that I was told I needed? It's right here, page 3. I mean, like.
Thank you, Mr. Daniero.
You could send me that as well, that'd be.
I sure will. That's why I think we should do a workshop and get this done.
But
Well,
just so
we're not gonna have
clear,
enough time.
Just so we're clear, I believe that
This is all.
I believe that that is not accurate as to what was actually deleted from this version. You can just looking at. a
I'm
couple
willing to
of
stipulate that.
examples, Invasive vines,
Mhm.
on that sheet, it says that it's deleted, but it's sitting on page.
Yeah, this is,
Yeah.
this is
So
a
I'm
very
willing
tough
to be-
read.
Yeah.
Very painful read.
So.
Okay, what's next on the agenda?
Well,
Because
hold
either
on.
we're gonna do a
Excuse me,
workshop.
Councilwoman, excuse me. So, Mr. Jingaro, if we made an amendment to, which I don't, if we went from 2.5 to 4 inches, DBH for, healthy trees that had to be removed. If we made that amendment, is that substantive? Would that require us to start over?
Oh, no.
Yeah?
Yes.
I have one other comment too, just so you can think about it. The 0.75. I'm thinking, you know, just when you read legal stuff, the point could be a grammatical error. Could we say?
Oh, hold on.
quarters of
We
an acre
can't.
Instead of 0.75?
Okay.
Thanks.
Did anybody do an analysis to identify how many properties that we have of our households?
Our
And what
forest
the-
did.
And what the actual average lot sizes are, what the average lot sizes are in our township?
Our forester offered testimony to that effect.
I think that's the question. It's what the average lot size is in the township.
I don't know what the average lot size is, but it's definitely far below, what would you say, 0.75 was there?
3/4.
Testimony from our forester was that the majority of the lots in town are less than a half acre.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So listen, I think we can.
Wait.
Councilwoman?
Sorry, Council President,
Hmm.
to interrupt you. If we can just take a 5-minute recess, I don't think this is accurate. I'm fine, and Mr. Dangaro is correct. I'm finding things in here that I see were claimed to have been deleted, but have not been deleted because they're in this ordinance.
Is it possible to reintroduce? It didn't get
There was no
voted
motion,
down.
there was no vote. No one made a motion.
Someone made a motion and failed to get a second.
No, no one made a motion.
No one made a motion.
No.
Oh, no one made a motion?
There's no
You can still make a
discussing.
motion.
Yeah, no.
Can we
So-
do first reading and then just make a couple changes on?
No, because they're gonna be substantive changes, I could tell you right now.
I don't think so. I think.
I don't think so.
I'm looking
I
at
think
this
we
and I'm
can-
seeing the stuff.
Well, she wants 4 inches.
That's a
And-
substantive change.
That is substantive.
So introducing it on first reading now as amended would require us to then hear it on first reading in 2 weeks? Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is if you want to amend it to the 4 inches, then that's a substantive change to the ordinance, so it'd have to be read on first reading for the next council meeting.
That's just a different way of saying what I just said.
Well, the way that I interpreted what you just said was that essentially we would have to have 2 different first readings, but there's something in between. There's a substantive change.
I think we just have to get it through on first reading.
All right, so Councilman, I'll tell you, I would support that change if you want to amend it down the road, but I do think in the interest of time, we should get this behind us. So I offer a motion that we introduce on first reading. Is this 2839?
No.
What is this?
No,
Yeah, but
20.
I wanna also.
Yeah, and I
from
want a second.
Administration, how, like this whole neighbor
2047.
notification, how that's
Yeah.
gonna work.
46.
If it's 20, yeah, 46, I'm sorry. Is it, wait, what is this?
2846.
2846.
I'll second it.
All right.
To introduce on first reading. Okay, hold on.
Okay, Councilwoman Castellino to introduce on first reading.
I'm gonna, I don't wanna say no, cause, well, I have a couple changes that are gonna be substantive. So I guess
Well,
I'm
we
abstaining
still-
on first reading then.
So hold on, wait, so the deadline is,
'Cause I don't.
yeah, we're not gonna make it, because our first meeting
Yeah,
in
we
May
gotta-
is
we
after
gotta
the
get
May
it
1st deadline.
We can have a temporary, a call meeting.
If we had something that was, for example, that passed on first reading before the May 1 deadline, we can make some phone calls to, and there are other, we sent over to the DEP, for example, if we applied for these grants, sent over to the DEP, the version of the ordinance that's gonna be in there for, let's say, second reading by May, I don't know, throughout a date 10th, then you might be able to get this, but I don't know.
I don't know if we could chance it because it's grant money, right?
That's my understanding, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we want a chance losing grant.
Lord.
I don't see where that.
No, this is in here.
Yeah.
There was a word that was taken out, but there was.
Yeah.
It says right here, John made a sign that would climb up a tree and cause damage to the tree.
Right, it's in
That's
here.
in here, so then this is not good.
No, it's not.
That's what I mean. Like, there's so many.
So why would you pass
Well,
it
there are
on
other-
first reading knowing that there's substantive changes and we'll have to come back?
They're talking about something else.
I think we should just go.
What I'm saying.
I think we should too.
Go ahead, Jim.
So listen. If you support it on first reading, and we need to make changes, we can get in the 2 week time frame. We can get clarification whether or not they will accept what Mr. Gengaro said about introducing on second reading early in May. If they won't, then we can consider passing it and then make the amendments after the fact. But I don't want to miss out on grant money.
Yeah, I think we need
Because we don't
I
have
think we
to-
need to move on it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because we need.
Well, why can't, so I can't
I'll
amend
tell
this
you,
to
I'll-
4 inches now?
Clarification too, this will have to go to the planning board, because we're moving from, my understanding is it has to go to the planning board, because we're moving from chapter 25 and
Correct.
implicating chapter.
Yeah,
Oh, then we
25.
really need to get this done.
So, just so we're all on the same page.
Yeah, so we do, but I'm already on the record, all of this is recorded, I will support at least the 4 inches that you're requesting.
But I have some other,
So we can get to that, we just need
Yeah.
to give the mayor what she needs.
I mean, I'd rather go over it tonight and finish the meeting if it's that imperative.
Like a month.
Look, what time is it? It's only 9:40, this is early for us.
Yeah.
I think we need to just move it.
Well, Councilwoman would
No,
like to go through and make some amendments, but now that then resets the clock for us, because you have to notice it for first reading, is that right?
I do have to notice it, but it also has to go to the planning
Yeah,
board.
it needs to get to the
And
planning
we
board.
go by their schedule, so.
Their next meeting. is
Councilwoman, I will work with you. I will
this
work with
next
you.
Wednesday.
I know,
It'll be to them, it goes to them after first reading?
Correct.
Okay.
To be reviewed and, make their comments, suggestions,
I think we need to
whatever,
move it.
and all, but just because their meeting is next Wednesday doesn't mean that this is getting on their agenda.
Yeah.
This is not on the agenda for next Wednesday, I think the
No.
agenda went out today.
Right, so.
Right.
Do we,
That
slip-
means
can we
not
get any
me.
emergency slip-ins? or-
No, because it
That's
requires
up to
10
me.
days notice for the planning board to notice.
Mm,
You got problems.
yeah,
So then.
I mean, there's an opportunity for it to be on. Oh, no, that's right, is that the only, no, is there a second meeting in April?
or what?
Well, not
Right.
anymore.
I don't believe
We'll leave
so.
our meeting.
One month,
One
right?
meeting a month.
Yeah.
I thought we had made, oh, no, that was this month we had two.
And that was a special meeting, our request.
Okay.
All right, so we still gotta get on the clock anyway. Like, if we don't do this part tonight, there's no way they can do their part, so we at
That's
least have to
Correct.
move it
That is
so that they
correct.
can do their part.
Right. I think we have to do it tonight. So President. Or did you made the motion?
It's
and I
been
seconded.
motioned, seconded, we're waiting on Councilwoman Castellino for her vote.
Yeah, I need some more time on this tonight. I don't care if we do my questions tonight, but I don't wanna, if you wanna get the other stuff done and then we come back to it.
But Councilwoman, if we do that tonight, we then have to put it on for first reading at our next meeting, which would
I know, but we're.
completely preclude any opportunity to get this done, get enough done by the May 1 deadline. Because the planning board still has to hear it and they got to send it back to us, and then we can, if it's not a substantive change, then we can introduce it on second reading, and that would give that would give the mayor the ability to then, apply. And with Mr. Gengaro making the stipulation that we're getting it done. If
We've
we
already-
don't do it tonight,
Right, we're gonna have to do the change.
we're not gonna have enough time to even get to, we may be on first reading.
But we've
Okay,
already
good.
been told that even your 4-inch amendment will require a substantive change and we will still have to go back to first reading. That's what's been established. So there's no getting around that if we're going to amend it to 4 inches. It still will have to
Any of
go.
those substantive changes that you-
And you're asking, and I support those. I support 4 inches. I've already expressed that I think 2.5
Okay,
inches is
so we're gonna pass it
unacceptable.
on first reading, make the substitute just to get on the record.
Yeah.
For the grant. And then it will go back on first reading again when we do our workshop and make whatever other.
Well, we'll make the amendments. No, we're gonna go through this process. And then we'll make the amendments, after we get through second reading. So.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
No.
Oh, no.
All right, let's just vote.
Well, all right, so then vote no.
Yeah, I'm gonna vote no. I mean, there's just the whole other, but listen, I wanna encourage a move. You all also, because you have a lot in here with a process that is not gonna work. And I want to hear from administration, are you prepared tonight? Because I'm willing to, I'd rather get it done tonight, but.
Well, we're waiting on your vote.
I mean, I went through this myself and made a lot of edits and notes the other day and, on page 7, 4, 10, 11, and 12 are all gonna require an engineer's report. So if somebody's gonna take a tree down and they fall within any of those criteria, they're gonna have to.
What page is chief?
They're gonna have to what? I'm sorry, Chief.
You have to get an engineer's report.
Oh,
It's
absolutely.
not a
This-
resident that's gonna be able to.
The birds, how do we, the migrant birds, how do we identify what's a
I
migrant?
haven't figured that one out, but you're gonna
Yeah.
have to get it. Obviously, a resident can't certify that tree is not used for migratory birds.
And
You
how-
have to get some type
The
of.
forester can't certify that either.
I'm sorry?
The forester
No,
can't certify that
no,
either.
No, the resident's gonna have to get a report from a bird specialist.
So who is a bird specialist in the state of New Jersey?
That's right.
I'm sorry?
Who is a bird specialist that would certify this in the state of New Jersey? Who would hold those credentials?
I have no idea. We're gonna have to research it and figure it out because the resident's gonna have to do this. So we're gonna have to figure this stuff
Yeah,
out.
so
Part of what was discussed during that workshop was having a spot on the website that included all of that
Right.
information.
Website. Yeah, that was what we.
But somebody's gotta certify. That's the bigger part. So if you're the resident, you're taking the tree down, you're gonna have to certify that that's not used by a migratory bird. So you're gonna have an expert for that. You're not gonna be able to do it yourself.
I just did a quick Google search and there are a few responses.
Do any other
I'm sure there's
towns
somebody out
have
there.
this in their tree ordinance?
There are several
Do
responses.
any other municipalities have this in their tree ordinance?
I did not,
Birds?
I looked at 10 to 15 different municipalities and I did not see that, anything like that in any ordinance.
I mean, I don't know the answer to that.
Is that something we could?
I'm sure.
I mean, there are
I'm sure there's a
566
professional out there.
municipalities in New Jersey, but
Yeah, I mean, there's a quick search and there are responses, but the point we're making is whether it's great, perfect, good, or not, we are running up against time.
we can strike some of these things out if we're gonna take the time to go through it this evening. I'm more than willing to do that. It's just things in it. We keep saying the same thing. There's substantive changes that we want to make. You're suggesting that we go through them tonight. If we're gonna go through them tonight, that's fine. Let's go through them. There are several changes.
We can't go through them tonight.
So
So it's either we go through it tonight or a workshop.
if we go through them, no,
Can't
if
go
we
through
go
them.
through them tonight, we start the clock back over, right?
We're gonna start the clock back over, even if we only do the 4-inch diameter change.
Correct.
No, understood. If we,
Yeah, he
if
wants
we
to do
make a
something.
hold on a second, hold on a second. If we make a substantive change to 2846, we start the clock over.
Correct.
That puts us at the first meeting in April to introduce on first reading, right? That means the planning board doesn't get it until May,
And so you know what
which is
this,
past the deadline. Hold on a second, which is past the deadline that we need to, Mr. Gengaro just said, if we are able to demonstrate that we're introducing it on second reading by early May, then there's an argument we could still be in the running to get some of these grants. What none of us want to do is put us in a
wanna
position
jeopardize the
where we
grants.
can't get the grants.
None of us wanna
Introducing
do
on
that.
first reading at our next meeting in April precludes us from making that deadline.
But this isn't a document that I am in favor of.
Then you have to vote no.
Therefore,
Then just vote no.
understood. Therefore, I am not confident that even if we pass it on first reading, that the changes will be implemented. You all are trying to pass it in an as-is version. That's disingenuous. If we know we
This
want
word
to change.
disingenuous is crazy to me. I don't know if we really understand what that word means.
Well,
We're in
I
a
do.
vote. Can we take a vote,
I'm
Madam Clerk?
quite educated.
Yeah, let's just move. let's
Okay,
just do
so Councilwoman Castellino, you said no?
I don't, I wanted to pass something, I was gonna work on it tonight, but yeah, right now, I can't do this.
So then why don't we still have a workshop? Let's
no,
pass
no.
this, have a workshop and implement the
I mean,
changes.
I'll pass it on first reading, but I'm not passing on second reading,
Okay.
if changes aren't made.
That's okay.
So we have one yes vote.
And revise it like we do, we're doing the
Huh?
ordinance.
Oh, my revision is gonna kick it to, because here's the other question I have. This goes to the planning board and
No,
they
keep
have
it moving.
recommendations,
Still
they
going
want
back to
changes.
first reading.
What happens to it?
No, it's.
Listen, it goes to planning board. They say, hey, council, we have recommendations for changes. You're not making their recommendations?
Well, if
We
you-
don't have
you-
to.
You,
They're-
you
they're
get to
advising
decide
us.
whether or not you're gonna accept.
They're
the
advising us. We don't have to accept the recommendations. Let's get it moving.
Non-binding
Right,
recommendations.
let's get it
Right.
moving, Council
Advisory.
President.
You have to follow, you can follow them, or you can choose not to follow them for cause. You have to say the reason, and then you can move forward with that. And that may require an amendment, and there's a process.
So my question is, can we vote to pass this on first reading, then vote to pass it on second reading? In between that time, have a workshop so we can make amendments, just like we're doing now with the cannabis ordinance. That is my question to the
Right,
administration.
but you have to remember that when you pass it on first reading, it has to go before the planning.
I
board.
understand, and it goes to the planning board and it goes and.
Probably not gonna go to the planning board
Till
until
May.
May.
Right.
So why don't we
That's
just,
If we pass this on
Keep-
first
keep in mind,
reading, wouldn't they get it next? in the next?
Why don't
To
we
my
just have a
knowledge,
special
Because they
meeting?
have their agenda.
to my knowledge, there is no
Nobody's
specific
requirement.
grant
I missed
right
that.
now that this is impacting.
So the way it was
Storm it
explained to
through
me, Mr. Gross, was that if we missed the deadline, then it doesn't matter when we submit it. And Mr. Jingaro, you can
We
correct
won't
me.
qualify for.
The way it was
grants.
explained to me is
Yeah.
if, once we miss the deadline, that's it for this year, we can figure it out next year.
I don't think that's the case.
Well, that's how it was
So
explained,
here's
Mr.
my,
Jingaro.
can I make a
No,
recommendation?
hold on, let, just finish. Can you answer?
Can,
Or do you know?
I'm not 100% sure. What I know is that at the last municipal land use board meeting, they had stated that in order to have access to certain grants, then the ordinance needs to comply with or conform to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection model ordinance. I have not gone through to see when the grants, which grants there are, what the due date for applying to them is. I have not done that research.
who stated that we would lose grant opportunities?
Well, it's on the New Jersey
There-
DEP
there's-
website.
There's no question that there's, they're dangling, carrots to get towns to move. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
And I find it, while it's not impossible, it's hard to comprehend that you would, if you didn't get something done, especially as new as this is, within a very short time, that you would lose an opportunity for a year. That doesn't seem reasonable. Certainly something we can look into and find out,
Yeah. Before.
Well, I mean, listen.
But again, there's 564 municipalities that have to do this. I mean, even the state processing that of who's done it and who hasn't done is gonna take longer than the time frame we're talking about. So I gotta think, so it doesn't seem plausible that we have to get something done in the next 30 days or we're gonna lose grants for a year. That just doesn't.
I wish someone would have shared that perspective, because the perspective that's been shared up until tonight was that if we didn't get it done by May 1st, we were going to be out of this cycle for grants that required a tree chart. And
That was my understanding too.
Same,
If-
that's what we all
if,
want.
if,
Well, I'm not,
That could happen.
I'm not 100% sure that that won't happen.
So the deadline was January first. The state DP extended it to May first. They may turn around, extend it 3 more months. You don't know, but
Except
as
for
John.
the letter of
Mr. Crowe
intent.
pointed out, there's 500 and some municipalities that are adopting new ordinances, and I'm sure a lot of them are going through the same hand wringing that we are, and I can't see us losing these grants, but I can't promise you that either.
of course, the easy solution here is to adopt is to go ahead and adopt the model ordinance at first, and then move on and make amendments to get it the way you want it. And that would cover all bases.
But here's the thing, I'm looking at the calendar. Whether we pass this tonight on first reading or in April, it still has to go to the planning board before we pass it on second reading. So I don't understand why we're even still talking about this. So we should just make a date. Yeah, is Monday, April 8th good for everybody to have a meeting, and then we
I
have
can do
to,
Monday, April 8th. But here's the thing, when is the planning board meeting in May?
Anything.
That I don't
that
know.
week.
You're having your surgery.
Yeah, a few days before.
so then put your edits in.
few days before that.
I can,
You said you were having
Yeah.
Well, I got it right here.
You got it?
It seems to me, and the council wants to do something on this, but so far has not been able to come to an agreement on to what to do. At a very minimum, the state model ordinance touches the basis for all the grants.
Yeah, so why don't we look at
Adopt it.
that? Yeah.
Why don't we just adopt this one and then we can amend it later?
Because this one has a lot going on, and we need to.
The way you
I would
said it.
rather adopt this one and then amend it a little bit.
And the problem is if people don't follow it and just start chopping down trees anyway, you're not accomplishing anything. I'm not trying to be difficult, I'm trying to be realistic.
I mean, that's the same issue we have with
But
almost
so much
every
time.
enforcement issue in town.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there was
but,
so
but
much
this,
agreement
but yeah,
that I
but
think
if
we
they
need-
go out and chop trees down, that's devastating. Other ordinances, you could bypass, but not, once you remove a tree, you ain't getting it back.
We gotta decide what we're doing. We're either gonna vote for this on first reading.
We're in the middle of a vote. We're gonna have to finish the vote. We're in the middle of a vote.
Finish the vote. Let's go.
Gotta
It's
make moves
10 o'clock
here.
now.
okay. Councilwoman Geber Michael. Oh, what was your vote?
I'm a no.
Okay. Councilwoman Geber Michael.
Yes.
Councilwoman Scarpa.
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
No.
Council President Rutherford.
Yes.
Okay, so the motion carries. Okay.
I want to thank
In new
Mr.
business, we can talk.
Trachtenberg on his version too.
2847-24, an ordinance supplementing chapter 14 and establishing a section for lead-based paint hazard inspection requirements for rental dwellings to the revised general ordinances of West Orange. Lead-based paint hazard inspection requirements for rental dwellings. Is there a motion to introduce on
moved.
first?
Well, before we do, I wanted to just state on the record. Just like with the license fee for the dogs, we had all of this conversation around charging residents more. And in this particular case, we've got a similar thing. We're gonna be charging property owners more. We just raised the sewer fees. We had a property tax increase last year. We're coming into what I expect to be a tough budget this year. Unlike $2 or $3, this isn't $2 or $3 or $5 or $10. This is, I'm not happy with this. Lead-based paint is a problem. There's no question about it. We need to make sure that we have, better enforcement. Make sure that it's not in there, but, I'm concerned with raising fees on every single thing, in town. I see you ready to address that, Mr. Gross?
This is a service, this is something that we must do. So we're either doing it and paying for it out of tax dollars, or we're going to do it based on a fee for those that are impacted.
This came down from the state.
This is a state law, if I can't speak to it.
Yeah, so this is, this is not about whether we're gonna do this. This is about
No, I know what.
whether it's gonna be paid for by a pool of property taxpayers or by the property taxpayers who are actually impacted.
Renting.
Okay, so it's either a user fee or a general tax. That's what this is.
So this is a new law that is imposed and goes into effect July first.
One at a time, one at a time, one at a time. Councilwoman Williams?
This is a new law that goes into effect July first, and it is on the responsibility of the homeowner who is renting their property to have a lead inspection. There's several different vendors who offer the service to be performed, but this is a state requirement. You cannot rent out your property after July first without the certification. In other communities, it is not a fee that the municipalities are incurring. It is being passed on because, again, it's the responsibility of the homeowner to have the certification vetting that their home is lead free.
So what's the cost for this?
So
It says set by resolution, it would say.
Yeah, we
it
didn't
doesn't
study
say
it.
what the cost
Yeah.
is, but the cost is basically set by whoever the agency is. I just reached out, there's actually a local agent who reached out to me today to let me know that they do the service, but they didn't have a fee schedule in. So I needed to check that because I have some rentals in West
And we're
Orange.
in the process of doing a procurement.
Yeah.
And,
Okay.
it has, it's
So you
gonna,
don't know
it's gonna
what the
rise,
fee is.
it's gonna raise, the fee is gonna be part of the procurement process. It's gonna, because of the amount of money we're talking about, it's gonna go over a threshold. We have to do a competitive process.
I understand, so you don't know what
I won't know what the
that-
fees were until we get back.
And I think it's gonna be at least a $100 inspection. at
Easy,
minimum,
easy,
at minimum.
easy.
That's what I'm saying. At minimum, it's gonna be at least a $100 inspection.
And it only-
you said like that.
And
Sorry,
wait,
and it only
there's more
applies to
than,
rent.
there's more to it than just an inspection. It's
Well,
the what
testing.
ifs,
It's
it's the remediation or it's the management of it over a period of time. So there's a lot to this.
Well, if it's detected, you can't even rent.
So when you say easy like that, it seems to me like you got an idea of whatever this range is gonna be. What do you think? What are you?
Yeah, I would say again, if it's gonna be an inspection fee, which is I believe will be north of $100, but we'll see.
Absolutely.
We'll see.
Is a letter going out to all the homeowners?
Well, that we know that are
Yeah.
within that
Just to
realm.
notify them,
Right.
because they're gonna be
What-
angry, they're gonna think
We
the
will.
municipality is doing it, but this is a great education campaign to be like, look, it's not us, it's the state, we don't have a choice.
Yeah.
Cause I already can see, we're gonna get calls and messages and.
If you rent your place through a real estate agent, the realtors are required, we have to go through training. It's mandated by the state so that we can advise our clients
Yeah,
on
so it's not a
what,
surprise to them.
Yeah.
so it's not gonna be a surprise.
It's part of doing business.
Any further questions, comments? It was introduced, someone offered a motion. Was it
Yeah.
Seconded?
No, it was not.
Second.
You did the
Oh, I
first.
see.
You did the first, I'll do the second.
Councilwoman Castellino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Geber Michael.
Yes.
Councilwoman
Yes.
Scarpa, Councilwoman Williams,
Yes.
Council President Rutherford.
Yes.
The motion is carried. Pending matters, new matters, council discussion.
Yeah, I have some comments on the council discussion.
Sure, Councilman.
Thank you. I sent information to my council colleagues over the weekend about a finance class, municipal budget, what is expected of the elected officials, what our role and responsibility is. It was taught by a local resident who has a business and has been in business for over 20 years. I'm teaching this class to different municipalities in the state of New Jersey and as a consultant. One of the things that was brought to our attention, and certainly if it's not our administration's practice, I do understand and respect that, but it was recommended that we get an accounting on a monthly basis so that we can see where we are. Is that something we've ever done in West Orange?
Sure, we can send that out.
Yeah.
Can we make sure on a monthly basis our council members actually get our expenditures, what's for them allocated. That, I think it was mentioned that it would also be helpful when we're actually in the budget process, to see things going on a monthly basis so that we don't have as many questions when we get to the final budget. Thank you.
All right, anything else?
Yes, I have something.
Yes, sorry.
No.
Well, Councilwoman Geber Michael is trying to excuse herself, so if we can let her go first.
Yeah,
Don't we have a closed session?
yeah, but if you guys can call me, I'm not paid.
Oh, well, actually, you need to be involved with what I have.
Okay.
Yeah, so unfortunately, I'm sorry. Do you want me to go?
No, you can go first.
Okay, so it came to my attention that our second meeting in April is scheduled for Monday, the 22nd. However, that's the first night of Passover. And originally, I was told it was the 23rd and the 24th, that I couldn't schedule the meeting. So you can't, they frown upon scheduling any meetings the first two nights of Passover and the last two nights of Passover. So,
So would the 24th be acceptable? or are
yes,
we
the
looking at
24th is acceptable. And there's no other meetings going on that night as far as planning, zoning, all that thing.
Wednesday, the 24th.
Is
Correct.
that your recommendation?
That is my recommendation.
Okay, I'm good with that.
All good.
What time?
Same time, everything, just the date change.
I gotta check the other.
Oh. Oh,
This is,
He's gonna kill me.
Wednesday, May 24th?
Nah, it is what it is.
Oh, wow.
Wait a minute, I'm sorry. What day is
April,
it?
April 24th.
Tell your husband you're married to West Orange.
Yeah, he already knows that.
I'm sure he'll be very happy to hear that.
Maybe.
Yeah, I'm good on April 24th.
Good on April 24th?
I am.
All right, thank you, everybody. I'll do the 48-hour notice. I'm sorry, Michelle. Did you want to do it the 25th?
I mentioned the 25th.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
It was the meeting
Well,
on
yeah,
the
but that's the
22nd,
first
was moved
two
to the
nights or the
24th.
last two
That's
nights.
correct.
Right in between. Yeah.
I'm trying to think what committee meetings are that night. I think we're good, right?
All
Last
right,
week of April, we don't have any, I don't think.
where do we stand with the cannabis ordinance?
Are you sure you don't do the 25th?
Do you want me to check tomorrow to see if there's any other?
You
things
can't do
going
the 25th.
I have.
Oh, you
The
do? Oh,
Last two and the first two.
That's.
I'm sorry.
So it's either 24th or the following week, 29th? Yeah. Oh, what, are we missing something?
Our
Her
anniversary.
anniversary.
Oh, that's
Did
what
you
that whole,
say tell your
I didn't know
husband
why. Yeah, I
That's
get
it.
it. Sure be happy.
Invite him
Yeah.
to the meeting.
It's during the week.
All right, we'll try and keep it in a light
It's a-
agenda.
It's a.
We have a motion to.
Well,
adjourn
hold
to
on.
executive
Where do we stand with the cannabis ordinance?
So I know that Mr. Moon sent around a memo.
earlier
Yes,
today.
yeah, I didn't read it.
Yes, and I haven't read it.
And yeah, my understanding is that it was discussed in new business.
Don't we need a new workshop date to continue going through the ordinance and we decide that we pick a new date?
Workshop.
I know. Yeah.
Well, the date we've got to pick too is the budget. When we're gonna do our budget review, Mr. Like we should start
Well, we-
reserving dates. Yeah, I got a busy spring.
So let's look at dates for cannabis workshop. How about Thursday, the 11th?
Or something the 11th.
On the
9th?
9th.
Can we do it after or something? So we don't have to.
That's too long.
Yeah, we can't wait that long. That's why I figured if we have a council.
After the.
Oh, yeah, no. After the council meeting? Yeah, we don't want to be here till 2 a.m.
We're getting so good at it. We're moving so along, so.
Yeah.
We might surprise us.
Yeah, we're just breezing right through.
What are y'all discussing right now?
A workshop.
Cannabis workshop.
So, okay.
Yeah, we're not
Decided
doing
on
that.
that.
No.
So
We've
we're
had enough
not,
of that.
we're not amending the 4 inches?
We introduced on first reading, we're gonna discuss what else can be done. But
We do need a
we do need to know what kind of timeframes we're working with.
So the administration will come back and confirm the grant
Timeline.
and then
We'll attempt to do that. I don't know that there's any grants available right now.
right, so if we
Time.
could find that out,
Right.
that would be helpful because then we don't have a time crunch, right?
Information I can get.
Okay, so if there are no grants that we can apply for before June 1st, because essentially that's the time period that we're looking at if it has to go to the planning board and then come back to us on second reading. So if there. if
So, and
there's
also
any-
clarify, make sure that it's not just whether or not there are deadlines after May 1st. It's that if this deadline, if the state doesn't extend it, make sure that that doesn't preclude us from applying for the rest of the year.
There's a number on the website, on the League of Municipalities website for somebody over at their office. I think he's in I think he's an assistant attorney over there. So I'll give him a call tomorrow and I'll see what kind of information I can get from him.
So your question is, does it lock us out or does it just push the date?
Right.
Right? Because if it pushes the date, then once you pass it, then you can apply to whatever after that.
But if we get locked out for the year.
Yeah.
That's, I think, a little.
I can make a few phone calls and try to figure out as much as I can.
Thank you.
Well, that, and I recommend, Mr. Garrett, that you speak with Catherine Kapoor, our grant writer. She's like awesome at Millennium.
Yeah.
I mean, she's.
I would get you her information.
Yeah.
If that's okay, I'll reach out to you in the morning.
Yeah, everything's on her radar. She may know at the top of her head.
All right, can we get a date for this cannabis workshop, please?
What else do we have to talk about with that? Parking?
Yeah. Do we really need a
We
whole,
didn't finish going through, we didn't have time. There was quite a few things.
do we need a whole workshop?
I thought we just had to talk about.
Yeah, I thought we just.
The only one that I can recall, but I'm going off the top of my head,
Yeah.
is parking.
Yeah, can't we just resolve that?
And I was willing to go up to 600 square feet.
I think.
To the warehouse.
Mr. Moon, what Mr. Moon recommended, and I reached out to our zoning officer who supported verbally what Mr. Moon said in our meeting was, what I had proposed in the workshop was exempting micro. Actually, I proposed something different. What Mr. Moon proposed in the workshop was exempting micro cultivators from the parking requirements. Councilwoman Williams made a comment regarding having our zoning officer weigh in. I reached out to her, spoke to her. Her initial concern was that we were taking the advice of a council that did not represent West Orange. I clarified for her that it was actually Mr. Moon that gave that advice, and she was fine with that. But she did state that she would send something out at her earliest convenience. Now, I haven't had access to email since Friday until today. So I don't see it, but that doesn't mean I have everything. I have some big gaps, at least from a time standpoint, where some stuff may have come out. But I don't have it in writing from her, but I have no reason to doubt that she would change her mind, especially since all five of us heard Mr. Moon in the workshop.
I also had a conversation with her yesterday because I was going over the zoning with her in regards to, the whole intent of raising it to 400 was to, increase the parking at that level because it was considered light industry. Warehouse, she did confirm, is 600 per one. And I'm comfortable going to that limit, but not higher.
I can entertain the exemption for micro businesses. I think that's something we should look at, but at the end of the day, I think that exemption might have to be extremely contingent on availability. I understand that the parking requirement is restrictive based on their number of employees and the spaces that they may need. So if we were to go up to 600 and they are maxed out at 2,500 square feet, then that would give them 5 spaces that they would need?
Well, no, because they have, I think the way the
Goes by the building size.
Yeah, it's not just the amount of grow in the cultivators. They can have up to 2,500 square feet dedicated to grow. But the parking requirement is based on the number of square feet
Of the actual building. So
So you could have a 10,000 square foot building, have 2,500 square feet of grow and still be a micro, but then have to have even if we went to six
No,
hundred.
I thought they were limited on how big their entire space could be.
Well, I'm just pulling numbers out of the air, but I think that's actually.
They're supposed to be 2,500.
Yeah,
Of
that-
grow.
No, no,
No,
no,
no,
no.
the
It's
building.
total square
Building.
footage.
Yeah.
Mr. Gingaro, can you clarify for that for us? Yeah, I'm.
They can
the
expand it. And to my understanding, the one spot was half of it was 2,500 to use for the micro. And then the other half of the building was going to be used for office use, which there,
And ultimately,
it's 250, one for every 250.
Well,
square foot.
the one project that we can speak to with regard to the details is the one that's before the planning board now. That one has 2,500 square feet of space dedicated to grow. It has other space dedicated to, operations that are not cultivation, that are not grow. It's
I
the
read
business.
Mr. McPherson's letter. I didn't read it that way.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
I mean, I
reread
sat in
that,
the planning.
reread that letter, that his ask.
His ask was for one parking spot for 1,000 square feet.
Yeah, I know, but if there's office space gonna be rented out on part of the building.
Right,
Private
if-
office space for.
You have
the
other
staffing,
customers, right? I don't know that we could exempt because
Cause then that,
if it's a building with
two
other,
fifty.
right? And if
Yeah.
it's a building that has other uses or occupants or,
The problem with that space is because,
Well, let's deal with it like in general for everybody.
well, so I will, because the whole idea of light industrial and warehouse is because our industrial spaces are very limited, and that's for a reason, because they're surrounded by residential properties. And, so especially with the apartment building across the street, as we all know, in that area, parking's very tight and limited. I believe we may have permit parking. Chief, do we have permit parking at Lafayette Park for residents in
No,
that parking lot, or did he, I know that's.
Free for all over there. We
Yeah.
don't even get into tonight.
But there's severe parking issues, but there's parking issues over there. So you don't, the last thing you want to do is, if they don't have ample spaces, is to push that parking out to
The streets, no, and I agree with you.
because we have enough issues as it is, as you know, we see restricted parking ordinance tonight. So I know it's unfortunate, I know it's frustrating for all the investors, and I know one's here tonight looking to invest in town. But we are what we are, like we have industrial bordering residential. We have, mixed use
so if we
properties,
were to
so-
go to the light industrial usage with 600 feet as the requirement.
That's 400.
No, light industrial is 6. Not light industrial, we just said is 6.
No, warehouse is 6, light industrial is 4. We're already at 4.
Okay, so whichever is
Yeah,
the correct label for 6.
That would be warehouse space.
Okay, so what my question is then, given that increase alone, does that still meet their needs? I know Mr. McPherson is asking for something different,
1,000,
but would the
It
600
would not.
accommodate their needs?
but it would give them more.
But it would give them more spaces.
But here's where I'm confused.
Wait, I want to understand, because he's sitting on the board listening
Yeah.
to the application. How many spaces are they required to have? 10?
24.
No, so whatever the math works out to be, let me see. It's,
I think it was 24.
well, under the 250, one for
Yeah.
every 250, it's 40.
He's 400. He's 400. That's light industrial. He's,
So under the, all right, so he's not, that's right, he's not, yeah, so under the
Yeah.
400, you're right. Is 25. I think they have 8. I'm going off memory, but I mean, just be clear.
They
I
only have
think
8?
we need to, yeah, I think we need to not do it for a particular.
no, you're absolutely correct.
Absolutely.
So in
Well,
general,
that
the
would be
argument
fine,
around micro cultivators was a couple of things. Number one, micros they're maxed out at 10 employees, and they generally work in 3 shifts. So there's, generally speaking, for micro cultivators, the maximum number of employees on site at any time may be 5, probably 4, sometimes 3.
3 shifts?
Yeah,
What 3 shifts? Because I understood that they couldn't be open at night, only for deliveries.
So, no, they don't take deliveries at night. Deliveries are during the day. But it's not like you're going 24 hours a day. I don't know if it's gonna be, 3 8-hour shifts and there's no overlap. I imagine that there is some overlap. But I think the way the ordinance works is they're like, it might be 8 in the morning to 7 PM. Is that right?
Right, that's why I was wondering how,
I
were
didn't
you
think there was
counting?
anybody there in the overnight cultivation.
Yeah, it's not.
No, but it's still multiple
No,
shifts.
they keep lights on
It's not like,
outside.
yeah, and I don't know that it's, anyway, it's multiple shifts. I think it's 3, at least that's the number that's sticking in my head. It's not that it's 3 8-hour shifts and there's no overlap. The ordinance has them at sometime in the morning to sometime in the evening. Let's say 8 in the morning to 7 PM. And they have their employees come in throughout that period of time. Because they're maxed out at 10 employees. So even if you wanted to say it was 2, which, that's 11-hour, that's an 11-hour day, like 8 AM to 7 PM. Even if you said it was 2, if everybody showed up that day, that would be maximum 5 employees on site at any given time. They're maxed out as micros at 10 employees. So that was the first thing. The second thing is, so because micro cultivators, generally speaking, don't have any outside traffic aside from the employees. So they're not, with very few exceptions, having tours. I know we had a tour, but with very few exceptions, they don't have people that aren't
You can't just go in the
authorized to
building.
be in the
You
building.
just can't go in the building.
So you're not gonna have outside traffic just popping up.
We have to have the loading zone. You have to have a
They
loading.
do have a
zone,
loading zone.
and
They do have to have a
FedEx,
loading zone.
Whoever comes to the building.
They're gonna have to have a way for secure deliveries and for, distribution. But again, that's not someone who's gonna sit there and camp out, park their vehicle for a period of time. They're coming, they're gonna drop off whatever they get, pick up whatever they're gonna get and leave. So the need for the parking spaces for micro cultivators in particular. And we were all in this. This isn't planning board. This was in our cannabis workshop with Mr. Moon. The need for cannabis for micro cultivators in particular, when it comes to parking, is significantly less than almost any other license class. So if you're only going to have 4 or 5 people at max, why do you need 20 parking spaces?
Well, so.
What's the
so-
office space gonna be used?
I think they have 10.
Well, so what he's stating is for. but
For
see, here-
everybody.
Here's the problem with
With
this
multiple
space.
use.
Is that it's a larger building and potentially he could expand, which is great. I'm not, not worried about that. But again, there are rent that top half of the building or wherever the space is that they're not using.
Well, we're not going to do it for that one particular business.
No, because then you have to go to but again, it's, well, I guess the planning board would still have to prove it.
And that would not, and so micros are capped at 10 employees. If you want to apply for a annual license, that's no longer 10 employees. That's a different.
But what if they get their license and they expand it, then, and they have room in their building?
Well, to expand beyond 2,500 feet of grow, you'd have to be an annual license holder. You can't be a micro.
And then we're talking about only allowing an exception to micros.
micros.
We're not talking about, so even for them to expand, once they have their micro, then they are still gonna have to comply with the parking restrictions for whatever the next level is.
And if they couldn't accommodate it there, if they were no longer a micro, they'd have to find another location and get support from the council. to do it.
I gotta.
Or apply for a parking variance, because
Or get a
you can't apply
variance.
for a parking variance to the planning board.
Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah, so, but what we're saying is if they were to expand and there are no more spaces or a limited amount of spaces, they can apply for a variance so that the building, they can still stay in that same building if the planning board grants them the variances. If they can show the need, if they can show the availability, it may not be as high as what we have it set as now, but we'll have to cross that bridge when we get to it. We don't even know if they're gonna expand. We don't know what these businesses will
I have
hold.
to
So
think
once
about
they
it.
do
I'm
that,
prepared
they
to
come
do
back to
600
us.
right now. I have to look into that.
Okay.
Well, I mean, look,
Would we have to make a decision tonight?
No, but
Was
still,
this just this
Well, if we're
section?
gonna introduce, so what I would hope we could do is, because we've substantially agreed on. And we have agreement on everything that came out of that cannabis workshop with. The only important thing I think that we need to agree on is parking. If we can get agreement on that tonight, then perhaps we can introduce it at our next meeting.
So I agree with the 600. I can do, because that is already established on our books. My concern was for us as a body that doesn't have the expertise and the knowledge of how the evolution of all of our zoning restrictions come into play. My recommendation was that we speak to the zoning official before we make those changes and that we as a board not make those changes. I believe that we can go up to the 600, that makes sense if we're gonna
yeah,
deem it as
same as warehouse.
same as warehouse. But to do anything outside of that, I think it should be the planning board who is listening to the entire application,
Yes.
who knows what the surrounding area looks like and whether or not it could be accommodated. I don't think we
We don't
should be
fully
making
understand
that.
it, yeah.
Absolutely. I don't think we should be
We don't have
making
all
that
the
decision.
information to make.
Well, we do have all the information because Mr. Moon gave it to us in the meeting. Mr. Moon opined on it. Mr. Moon is the attorney that has walked us through this entire process from the very beginning.
Okay,
Planning board.
and I still feel, I
agree
still
with,
feel
Councilwoman
comfortable with Councilman Williams
Yeah.
just stated. I
Mr.
rather
Moon
the
does
planning
that.
board, because they do look at the location. It's not a blanket statement.
I mean, we're writing the
I
ordinance.
mean, we're not, I know, and we had it at 400 and the.
No, we have it at 250.
It was at, no,
at
no,
250.
right now it's at 400 for those, we changed it to the cultivation to be 400. It is already 400. I know it's still not enough.
I was gonna say, but we haven't voted on that. That's what we've
I know,
agreed
it's
to, right?
already in, no, we, the last time we did amendments.
We put the parking at 400?
Yes, for the
Yeah, there's one,
cultivators,
they're at the light industrial laboratory and
Yes.
research use,
and that's
which is
400.
400.
I'm
But-
willing to go up to 6.
That's what I was trying to explain on the Zoom call. It was hard to articulate on Zoom, but so now if we put them at the warehouse, they'll be at 600 and then the planning board could determine on their spaces.
Exactly. I
Planning
think
board
that's
should
fair.
determine it.
I think that's.
All right, so
fair.
just for the record, I want to be clear. I did speak with our zoning officer who was willing to defer to the attorney.
Well,
I'm not.
On this-
So yes,
on
she
this-
was
I don't think he has the
okay with
expertise.
600 when I had a conversation.
And
with
when
her.
I talked to her the day or two after the meeting, and gave her what Mr. Moon
Yeah.
recommended, she was fine with that too.
I don't think Mr.
Um,
Moon's in a position to make that decision. It's a
he's
planning board position. They
He's
have
dealing with the law.
expertise on that, but that's not about the parking spaces and the traffic, but.
I'm not
Okay.
debating
So-
his
So you have
expertise. I'm
few
just
that have
debating
stated
what I
their,
felt comfortable with.
It's a planning
willingness
board.
to
It's a
go to
planning board
600.
decision.
I'm willing
So I'm,
to exempt them altogether.
well, I'll offer the motion that I just made, which is that we can do the 600.
The
and-
warehouse, determine them as same as warehouse. So we're
Exactly.
consistent.
Mhm.
Okay.
And then the
Are
planning
you gonna
board.
support that, Councilwoman Scarpa?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll second that.
So, Mr. Gengaro, we're offering an amendment to our current cannabis ordinance that we'd like to see added to it.
Just to clarify, it's not the cannabis ordinance, it's
Amendments.
it's an amendment to the parking ordinance.
No,
12.2, or or are we just adding a line to the cannabis ordinance specifically regarding?
Oh, we have to do both because so I guess we should do both to make it clean and understanding
Well, we can, but it has to be in the cannabis ordinance for
Yeah,
micro
for-
cultivators.
to be
And
warehouse.
this is only for micro cultivators.
Only for micro cultivators. So just so that we're all on the same page. just wanna
Why
make
wouldn't
sure
you
I'm-
do
I
for
just
all
want to make sure I'm clear.
And make them, give them the 600.
The
Oh, you're right, because we're not exempting it.
Right, we're
Yeah.
not
Yeah,
exempting
no,
it, so
that's,
all
so it could be
cultivators.
for all cultivators.
Yes, cultivator / manufacturing.
So the motion is for all cultivators and manufacturers?
I will amend my motion to include cultivators and manufacturers. Will you second that?
Yes, I will.
No, Castellino's already seconded.
Oh, okay.
So this way, what you're doing is you're changing them from light and industry, because we bumped it to 400, now we'll bump it to 600.
I have to take a vote.
All right, so just so we're clear, we're gonna change that in both the cannabis ordinance and with regard to our overall parking to make it consistent, or we just have to do it in the cannabis?
No, just.
I'll double check with Mr. Moon, but I would think that you might want to just change both, just for at least have the chapter 25-12.2 reference the change with regard to cannabis manufacturers and cultivators. So even if it was just add a footnote to the light industrial one and just say except for cannabis manufacturers and cultivators whose parking will be determined under this.
Got it. All right, so
But
that
I'll
is,
double check with with Mr. Moon and Mr. Trank and the planning board attorney to see if there's any issue there.
so that is the amendment being offered. That's how we'd like it captured so that, and once we vote on including that, then we're going to offer a motion to introduce it on first reading, the cannabis ordinance, with the amendments that we just agreed to at the workshop and that one.
Understood.
Thank you, sir. So I interrupted, Madam Clerk, where are we? We have a
We're-
motion and a second.
Yeah, do the roll call. Councilwoman Castellino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Geber Michael,
Yes.
Councilwoman Scarpa,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Council President Rutherford.
Yes.
Okay. That's for the amendment.
I move for the ordinance to be put on the next meeting for first reading. Second.
Okay. Councilwoman Castellino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Geber Michael.
Yes.
Councilwoman Scarpa,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams,
Yes.
Council President Rutherford.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Now, can we have a motion to adjourn?
Wait a minute, I have one
into,
more thing, sorry.
um,
The CCRB,
CCRB, yeah.
right,
We need a,
representative.
Okay, so we'll bring you one by the next meeting. Thanks, Chief. Now may I adjourn to the, Second. Thank you. Adjourn to.
All in favor?
executive
Aye.
session.
Any opposed? Okay.
Thank you, West Orange. Good night.
Good night.
Night, West Orange. That's all right. This is a good one, though.
30.
This is my stuff.
Yes.
Do you want to stick around or you want to call into executive? Call in.
So.
Put